think we're up live. I don't know. We'll do a sound check in a minute. But welcome everyone to this week's listening post. And yeah, we're. I think we're all listening very carefully.
Link established. Mic off.
Well, there we go. I think the mic is on, though I hate to disagree. If that came through, let me do a sound check here. I think the mic is on, though. Yeah, there we go. It's right up in time. We've got to be careful because we're being tracked, we're being watched, we're being listened to, and YouTube is aware of this, and Google's aware of it, and God only knows who else is aware of it. And there's a purge going on. There's a purge going on everywhere, and the purge is deep, and it's heavy, and it's political, and it's social, and it's I think it's deeper than that. And I think there's a lot of players manipulating what's going on, for their own benefit, this way and that way. They're competing against each other. But so analysis, there's a direction forward, and that direction forward is towards compliance. It's towards that movie, They Live. It's towards, you obey, and they tell you what to do. And I don't think they're going to stop. I think a lot of this COVID-19 stuff is just so that you'll believe the media again and fall into it. Well, MGTOW Smurf, welcome. Thanks for coming in. Eliu, the younger MGTOW, young MGTOW. That's not young, man. You're fucking old, man. Jesus, that's old. 1776? Holy shit, you're 200 and some years old. Yeah, but the question is, are you going to make it? Are you going to make it to 2026? Because that's still 5-6 years in the future. So that's the question. Audio is very low. Okay, thank you. Let me see what I can do about that. And I'll put my mic up a bit like that. And try to figure out what's going on. We didn't rush up today, but it was straight through, and there was some trouble. There was some trouble getting up, and let me get to the main page here, and we'll see what's going on, and maybe I'll see if the chat works. The chat doesn't work. I don't know what to do now. The chat may not be able to come up today. I'm not going to stop this stream. Because obviously you can keep the chat going on the YouTube and do it that way. There's some trouble. I don't know how the audio is now. Let me know how the audio is. But we had some trouble in yesterday's stream. We went on with Lamprey Milt, and I had to take it down, and because obviously you can't let anything get through, and that we wouldn't want through anyway. It's good to have emotions, it's good to have feelings, and it's good to release them. Still low, damn. Let me check. Let me check my own feedback here. Maybe I'll turn this up. I'm not doing a hangout or anything. So, it's up. Well, I'm not doing a hangout or anything. It's sounding okay when I do the sound check. It's not sounding great, but yeah. And test your microphone. Yeah. Yeah. And I still can't figure out this OBS. I'm at 100. Input microphone. Oh. Oh. What about this? Is this better? Master volume. I wonder if that's better. Hey, MGTOW Warrior, you're in. Good. You're good. I think I just switched my microphone. For some reason, it got on a different microphone for this or for something. I'm not sure. But we seemed to be okay yesterday. Nothing changed from yesterday. So it's hard for me to tell. I guess you'll have to turn up your volume a bit, and maybe I'll speak a little bit louder if it's not coming through clearly. But anyway, we've got trouble with the chat. I've redone it into the OBS a couple of times, and it doesn't seem to want to get better. And yeah, I don't know what to do about that other than restart the stream, which I don't feel like doing. So anyway, we've had an intense week of demoralization. It just seems to continue onward and onward. We're going to play a little video here later on. We got 2 videos to play. But, there's a black and white issue going on. And there was this guy in an airplane. I guess it was Alaskan Airlines. And he was freaking out. He was saying, either say that Jesus is black or I'll kill you. And, I'm saying, well, who the hell knows what color he is? It doesn't really matter. I don't know. What did Palestinians look like, 2020 years ago? Well, I don't know what they look like. But anyway, here's a picture of Jesus right there. I think one of them's John the Baptist and one of them's Jesus. So that's Jesus and John the Baptist. Don't look too white to me, so I don't know. Looks sort of black. Yeah. But of course, this picture was painted by somebody for the Ethiopian church, right? So the Ethiopian church sort of think of Jesus as black, although the long hair is there too. And here we got a picture of Mother Mary, and it looks like Jesus has an afro there. I don't know. Oh no, that's a halo. Holy shit! I was joking. I knew it was a halo over an afro. Yeah. Anyway, so, they're looking pretty black. Mary looks like she got a little sort of soul patch or something. Is that a beard or just, I don't know. But, anyway, lovely. So that guy in the Alaskan Airlines, he should have just Googled Ethiopian Jesus. And he would have found lots of pictures like this. So, I don't know. I think people are freaking out. And this is part of the demoralization. He's so white guilty, he thinks everyone has to think like white people. No, they don't. And they don't. I thought, probably in China, I didn't check though, somebody could check, what does a Chinese Jesus look like? Probably Chinese. And that's just the way it works. That's just the way it works. The Arabs are smart. They say, don't make a picture of Muhammad. Although there are pictures of Muhammad from a long time ago. They did it. And you can get them too. No biggie. No biggies. Anyway, we'll show a black guy here. We talked about him yesterday. And we got the I don't know, the cuck of the year. There's Will Smith, and apparently it's coming out now that 4 years ago they were separated, although that may not be true. And then it's also coming out that this guy, August somebody, he's got a great tat on his chest. I don't know who it is. Maybe somebody can help. Hey, it's Will Smith the Simp. There you go. So anyway, this guy, August, was diddling around with Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett. And Diddy announces it and says that, Willie gave permission. And so Will Smith got on with his wife at her talk show Red Table thing. And she was, they were talking about it. And at one point, Jada Pinkett Smith had the nerve and the gall to say what August was trying to communicate And that was the expression on
Auto
Will Smith's
shutdown
face. If you look at
initiated.
it pretty close, I don't think he's happy. I keep on looking at that expression, and I'm thinking it's one of utter revulsion and hatred. But you know what he's thinking. What August was trying to communicate was an extended penis in my wife's mouth. I think that's what August was trying to communicate, and probably communicated it very well on a number of occasions, apparently. So yeah, there's the simp of the year. Oh yeah, no, good or bad? No, I don't think there's anything good about this, is there? I know any publicity is good publicity, but no, everyone sort of likes Will. He's pretty hip, but he's polite and well spoken, educated, and good actor, and sort of like a fun guy and family man, and what the fucking go wrong with him? Tough, but not in your face, and anyway, he had as the alpha man, he had the largest bundle of aggregate resources of almost any man on the fucking planet. Anyway, we got another picture here, and this one, we'll all get this, and we'll see it again. Jada Pinkett Smith says sometime after the previous thing that it had been so long since I felt good. And you just stop and you say, and Will Smith nodded to that, and I just had to stop and say, what? Say what? It had been so long since I felt good. Here's a woman who, was 89 or something. She married, a guy who just put out like a great movie, made huge amounts of money, Men in Black, rose to the level of an A-list actor solidly. And she just, he divorces his first wife, marries her. And from the 1989, so they have the wedding, they have the honeymoon. Okay, he's off doing other movies. She's got acting and other things. She has 2 kids. She has 2 kids. And all the way through their childhood where it's all those happy times, whatever. And of course, she has maids and whatever she wants. Big, huge house, big money. She's got success. And she's got, this great home life. She can do acting. She can, people are on the phone every day asking her this or that. She can give as many interviews as she likes. She starts her own television show eventually. But she says, it's been so long since I felt good. How fucking long could it be? With I don't know, so many $1 million popping out of your purse. My God. So the hypergamy and gynocentrism in this woman just is proof that no man is safe. No man ever possibly could be safe from the insatiable demands of a woman. She has no end to her treachery. There is a bottomless pit. And, that's it. That's it. Now he's a C-list actor. Yeah, probably Stone Reaper. Yeah. Cucked. The cucked list. C for cucked. Yeah, so, or castrated. Somebody wrote a comment about it, Will Smith becoming, getting publicly castrated. And I said, what do you call it? Someone who's publicly castrated? Wee Willie Smith. Wee Willie Smith. Oh my God. Yeah, it's been so long since I felt good. Wee Willie Smith. Oh man. So, this is just clear to me. They invented a backstory, after it happened to try to save some face for Will, but no, there's no saving face in this. We know what it was. We know what it was. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault, Will. For God's sakes, man, you gave it a good shot. Yeah, Jaden, what about Jaden Stone Reaper? He's sort of a, young little hipster. And, when that YouTuber was seen, whapping off to a poster of his sister when she was 11. Holy shit. He came up and he said something, pretty direct. But how dysfunctional is his son? It sort of looks like a young Hollywood hipster should. Doing shit. Getting his picture taken. Yeah, every family's dysfunctional, but it just depends upon how much. This one probably is not. It's not dysfunctional in this age, with the mother of fucking some guy with a great chest tattoo. I don't know, what's the guy named? August Elias? August Alsina. August Alsina. I don't know this guy. He's like a rapper or something. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, he's got quite a chest tattoo, I gotta say. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what you want in bed with your wife. Yeah. We'll go for that. Oh, right, Stone. Yeah, he did sort of want to do that. Yeah, but he was young. He was trying to, go with the flow of the times, wasn't he? Get that fucking picture off of there. Sorry. Left it up too long. Yeah, no, he did, didn't he? He was trying to model these long things. But, he was young and, impressionable. And I think he got out of it. I think and he made a name for himself, with the crowd that he wanted to make a name with himself for, right? All the social justice warrior types. He thought that they were trending, and in fact, they may be trending. But we had a, and I'll put this up on both screens here. We had this from the National Museum of, my God, I can't read it. African American, anyway, HC, whatever HC is. Man, I gotta look it up. Let me try to look this up. Has anyone seen this? This was put on the. I gotta read it now. Right down at the bottom. History and Culture. There we go. So it's the National Museum of African American History and Culture. They had it up on a web page with a lot of other stuff. And this is supposed to be definitive of being white. And, so that they could create a dialogue on the races so black people would know what white people were like. And so rugged individualism. The individual is the primary unit. Well, this is, whatever. Self-reliance, independence, and autonomy highly valued and rewarded. Individuals assume to be in control of their environment. You get what you deserve. Oh, yeah. Well, you don't look both ways before you walk across the street. Yeah, you deserve that. Sorry. Family structure, the nuclear family. And a lot of people are saying, black people are saying that, and then Asian people, at least, Tim, but that just because, well, they're saying that if white people are like this, you mean black people are just the opposite? And this is sort of, I don't know. I think they got themselves in trouble. Anyway, they took down the poster, but it's out everywhere. I got it, and but they took down the web page. And anyway, you can find this and look at it, but some guy tweeted it out and it went viral, and people are saying, this is horrible. Although, for most of it, I sort of agree that is true. I don't agree on the aesthetics, because a woman's body based on blonde, thin Barbie, that's not necessarily true for all times. And, in the 50s, it was voluptuous, right? Marilyn Monroe, and, sort of curvy. And, okay, it's maybe gotten a little thinner, but, this isn't static. And the aesthetic of steak and potatoes, I don't know about you, but, pizza.
Powering off.
Pizza. And, but, the man's attractiveness, there's the bundle of aggregate resources, right? Economic status, power, intellect, And we can throw in the rest of them there. But I don't like the competition win at all costs. No, there's some costs you're not supposed to cross, right? It's got to be fair play. You've got to have fair play. And then it's, win. Yeah. So, anyway, majority rules when whites have power. No, I don't think so. It's a majority rule anyway. Yeah. But, as we see with South Africa, and we'll find out what's happening, in the long term down there. It might work out okay. You never know. We hope for the best. Anyway, this is funny. It comes out. And, this is part of the demoralization. I don't know who this demoralizes. A white person reads it, and they're not too put off by most of this or any of it, really. Time viewed as a commodity. Well, fucking isn't it? Maybe this is it. If you don't think of time as money, at least at work, then you got a problem. You're going broke. You're going broke. Cost-benefit analysis, time management studies, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, we got a video. How are we doing there in the chat? Let me take a look now. Did he really? Will cheated with Margot Robbie? I don't know Margot Robbie. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Was she boinking Mark? She's a real, Yeah. Anyway. This is not a good relationship, obviously. Maybe they should just cut it off and stop trying to pretend to be, Hollywood's power couple. I don't think they are anymore. Anyway, I got a video to show you. You may be interested in this, but it's not a good video. I'll just play, just a short snippet of it, and this is part of the demoralization. So here we go. This is Brooklyn. I'll set it up a bit. Brooklyn police are walking some guy down the street. Some other guy takes a photo, causes some, problem with another guy, and he gets pushed, and we'll see that. Done. Oh my. And this has been brought up in the media, and of course there's going to be a problem with this. We'll play it again right now. So there's the red guy walking down the house. There's the camera backs off, and the cop, the black guy's yelling at him, and he gets pushed by the cop first. Then another cop comes in and pushes the guy. Then look, he gets tased. And he's not doing anything. He's standing there with his phone.
Oh, he's going to lose his job. He's going to lose his job.
Anyway, they lead him off to the paddy wagon. Nothing else happens there, but this happened in New York, and about 4 days ago now, 5 days maybe. And this is one more time. We'll play it again. We'll see what you think. I'm just going to ask, what do you think about this? So let's watch it again.
Oh, he's going to lose his job. He's going to lose his job.
You tased me, no! I don't
Anyway, does anyone have any comments on that? Because you know I certainly do. Does anyone think anything's wrong here? You know, we can always ask the question of, where's the disposability of men? Right? I think that's the question I always ask now. Where's the disposability of men? Now, I don't know about the guy in red going down the street. I never looked up any deep information on him and didn't read any information on him. Nor on the guy with the camera. I don't know if the guy with the camera was hit, but obviously he was pretty close to that if he wasn't. So anyway, what I see is somebody, after the police, did something to the guy with the camera with this other guy going down the street, the police pushed the man. So they first assault a man who was not assaulting anyone, merely yelling at something bad that had happened. And then the police start an assault on the guy. So one policeman pushes, and then another policeman immediately pushes, and then tases, and then they handcuff the guy for I don't know what crime he committed. Now somebody's saying that he threw a helmet previously, but that's not on any video I ever saw. And so, it didn't look like he had a helmet. There was no helmet there. So, ultimately, what this is, if you're going to say there are good cops, okay. But the first thing, a good cop stops a bad cop. I think that's the rule, isn't it? That's the first rule of being a good cop, is that you stop a bad cop. So, if somebody's yelling at the cop, and the cop starts the assault by pushing him, then another cop should stop and take that cop out. Just take him out of the situation. I'm not saying to arrest him or put him in jail or anything, but maybe. But, if you did that to a cop, you'd be charged with assault. And but in any case, a good cop would stop that cop and not re-assault the guy. And so what we had is, we saw, 12 bad cops. And this is the problem. That no cop stopped the first cop after he pushed the guy. After he started the assault, nobody stepped in and took that cop aside and said, hey, calm down, or, whatever. They supported that cop in pushing the guy. Then they tased the guy. Then they arrested the guy for yelling at a cop when the cop was obviously doing something bad to, probably the guy with the camera, and maybe arresting the guy in the red. I don't know. But, so look around at all the cops. Did any of them step in to say, no, you don't hit the guy first? I think that's the rule, right? Now, if you're going to make an arrest, you make an arrest and there's a charge. But I don't think there's a charge on the guy. So why was he tased? Why was he assaulted? First. And then again, and then tased, and then arrested. And this is the demoralization. You see this, and I'm waiting for it to stop. When the hell, Father knows, is this going to stop? It's like day after day we get another video of someone coming out and saying, oh my God, this citizen of the United States, apparently, was just assaulted by a police officer, then assaulted by another police officer, then tased, then arrested, and all he was doing was yelling at a cop who had done something bad to a guy with a camera while they were hauling away some other guy. So this is what I'm taking from it. This is a demoralization. The Black Lives Matter people, some of them are nuts. They're nuts. But look at that cop. The cop's bad. And his fellow cop is bad. And all of the rest of them arresting this guy. Nobody had the sense to say, why are we arresting this guy when he didn't start the assault? If he did something 5 minutes ago, well, you can't arrest him now. For God's sakes. Yeah, no, I give you. If they're walking down the streets and they're afraid, well, they should be afraid because look at them. They're not helping their case any. They're not stopping the bad cops. And so all you see are bad cops. And this is, I think, what the anyone on the right would say, because the right is concerned with, a police state. They don't want a police state. And the people on the left are obviously concerned about it because they don't want the police brutality. And so this is a problem. There's a lot of people on the right who are saying, I don't want the police state. And what if I was that guy yelling at the cop for, hey man, you can't push that fucking photographer. What the fuck? And then all of a sudden, the cop assaults me, another cop assaults me, they tase me, they arrest me. No, I'm allowed to fucking say that to a cop who does that. And this is city after city, police force after police force. 846. So, and this is the problem. The BLM people, some of them are nuts. How can Anyway, this is the demoralization I see. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. And just to remind you of this insanity, we'll play that video. Maybe you can hear it.
Black Lives Matter in response to All Lives Matter. Instead, I'm just going to say these hands matter and then rock your shit. For reasons, I will no longer be saying Black Lives Matter in response to All Lives Matter. Instead, I'm just going to say these hands matter and then rock your shit. Due to personal reasons, I will no longer be saying Black Lives Matter in response to All Lives Matter.
And you know what? We can read the lips. We know what they're saying. I'm surprised they all still have lips. I don't know. They hate their human form or something so bad that they're trying to, not adorn it in any pleasant way. They're making themselves bizarre and hideous. And they're saying that if you say all lives matter, they're just going to hit you, start violence. And why is this? For God's sakes, I don't think the black Ethiopian Jesus would like it. Anyway, maybe, I don't know, how many people are like this walking down the street? Because apparently, these people are running the show. What in the fuck is this purge? Can anyone list all the sites that have gone down? And, we're up here. Oh, yes, they are nuts. Okay, good. It's just not me. I was thinking it was fucking me. I'm not playing any more of this bullshit. Anyway, I've seen enough of that. My God. Unidentified armed agents driving around Portland in unmarked vans and forcing protesters into them. This is not good. I don't care. I don't care. That's not good. First they came for the labor leaders. I wasn't a labor leader, so I said nothing. Then they came for me, right? Unidentified agents driving around in unmarked vans, forcing protesters into them is not the way to do it. Okay, Forrest J. Burns. I can show you the video again here. It's not very long. We can do it. So I'll show the video. It's in Brooklyn. There's a red guy in handcuffs walking down. There's a photographer who seems to either be threatened or pushed back. And then there's this other guy who's yelling at the cop. And then shit happens to him.
Oh, he's gonna lose his job. He's gonna lose his job.
Just there with this camera. Watch me. So where are the good cops stopping the bad cop? Why did the bad cop hit him, and why didn't the good cop take the bad cop? Well, because they're bad cops.
Oh, he's gonna lose his job.
And if they're great, they should stay the fuck home. This is where the disposability of money comes in. What are these police being asked to do? That they can't do their job and stop a bad cop? Why do they have to support that?
He's not resisting.
Protester doesn't look like
I
it.
want it. Stop bending his
A
arm.
regular guy.
Stop bending
You
his
can't
arm.
be
He's not resisting.
threatening guys with cameras. They're not the bad guys. They're the good guys. You know, even if they are a little leftist. You know. They're no longer police, they're intimidators. And that's seemingly what they're doing. And so that was it for us, Jay Burns. So, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It escalated quickly. Why did the guy push him? He was yelling. Okay, is he afraid? But if he's afraid, he should stay at home. Taking them to the FEMA camp. See, that's it, Father. No, what in the fuck? Is that true, MGTOW Smurf? I haven't heard that. You know, maybe I wouldn't. But, you know, they're taking down all these YouTube channels. So, I'm going to give an address here. So there's another platform which I went on with MM. We just sort of played around with it one day. Yeah. Yeah, maybe they see it that way, but the judges don't, Father. No, the judges say that you're not obstructing justice if you open your mouth. You're obstructing justice if you physically interfere or do something to prevent. And yelling at a cop or threatening a cameraman is not an obstruction of justice. So. I know, Stone Reaper, it's nuts. I think it's nuts. You know, somebody poured some red paint, and that seems to be the most important thing in the world. My God, the mayor of New York, and not only him, but how many other mayors of Democrat cities are going down. But, well, maybe MGTOW Smurf, maybe that's what you need to do. If they're doing bad, you got to yell at them and say, fuck off, you can't be doing this. You know, we're in the middle of a protest, so people are encouraged and emboldened to speak their mind. Yeah, no, that's right, Father. No, I'm saying that too. You know, they're saying that something's going wrong. Well, something is going wrong. 846, you know, and this has been going on for my whole lifetime, right? So I'm not surprised, communities are getting absolutely fed up. You know, it's been 2 generations of increasing attacks upon men, white men and black men, for my whole lifetime. And the black men are getting it twice what they should be for their population, because as we know, they destroyed the black family, and so many black men were, shoved out unceremoniously onto the street. And they had to make their way. You know, they were smoking some pot, and then they went to jail, and they came out. They thought they could do a break and enter, and then they got caught, and they got sent back to jail. And so we have a permanent underclass now, so many black men that, every black man's almost a target. And this is how it happened. And this is there to feed the prison industrial complex. It's not there to keep the streets safe. Because the best way to keep the streets safe is not to lock people up for marijuana, which is now legal in most places in the States, isn't it? It's legal in Canada. Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's being investigated for us, Jay Burns. It's being investigated, and, one guy was, I don't know who it was, but I think I heard, you want to lose your job? Somebody's going to lose their job over this. I'm not saying, I could do it or whatever successfully, but if I was that guy, I would sue the police and the city of New York for about, I don't know, I'm thinking like $40 billion. $40 billion. I'll say it's the beginning of a class action lawsuit in order to just take all the money so that all of those people are no longer able to get any money for lawyers to defend their actions. And that, somehow, some way, these types of people who can't handle the pressure, are taken out and new people come in, and maybe they got to be paid more. I don't know, but here we are. This is it. This is it, MGTOW Smurf. Unless you feel like something like this is in your interest, then it's MGTOW Ghost Level 4. Because this is not a situation that, if you don't value it, you should go into. You see what the police are like. The police will try to destroy your life. And maybe these people are having the value in fighting this, then, okay, that's their business. But, we're looking at this and we're saying which side is the right side. It's not the police like that. Nobody is willing to fight and die to support police like that, I don't think. Although in a couple of videos they had, supporters saying the black guy was obviously wrong, but I don't think so. And if those policemen are under too much stress, then you got to remove the stress by just stopping the victimless crimes. This has been going on increasingly my whole life, that you're not doing anything wrong, and all of a sudden they come and take you down, and they start violence. And the violence brutalizes men on both sides. I agree here with Pablo Freire, the Brazilian philosopher, and he says that both the slave master and the slave get brutalized, and both the police and the beaten up get brutalized, and maybe these police are brutalized too much, and the system is just brutalizing too many men. So we got to stop it. We have to remove any brutalization opportunities. In fact, there was another one I looked up recently in Detroit, where the police were apparently looking to find some guys who were at a party, and 3 people died at the party, gangbangers or something in Detroit, and there was a party, 3 people died. But on the way, they saw a guy, and they sort of said, oh, there's a warrant out for him on drug charges, and he's probably a gangbanger. But if he's a gangbanger, then anyone in the fucking world's a gangbanger. He looked like an average young guy, right? Just looked like an average young guy. And so he wasn't causing any trouble. He just said, oh, you're going to fucking take me in. Right in his front yard, right in the neighborhood, right? Nice looking neighborhood. There's nothing wrong with the neighborhood. Grass and trees looking all nice and, middle class. The cops just stop and take him away. And his friend there said, they ain't going to take him. And he reached for a gun, pulled out the gun, shot the gun, and he got shot a bunch of times. Died. And now people are protesting. Well, yeah, okay, he pulled a gun on the cops, but maybe he had enough. Maybe he's like living in a Kafka novel and wakes up one day and he's a bug and says, I don't care if they're going to step on me, they're going to see me, and I ain't a fucking bug. You get that sentiment reading, Kafka's Metamorphosis. At some point you're saying, I'm not hiding under the sofa anymore. And, whatever. When I'm thinking, if you grow up in the hood, aren't most people like young men? Aren't they either gang members or affiliated with the local gang? And what is a gang anyway? It's a bunch of guys that hang out together. I suppose we're a gang, aren't we? Holy shit. Anyway, we got we get the larger gang, but this is none who have a different opinion than the push narrative will be on here by October, I believe. Yeah, Stone Reaper. I'm sort of thinking I kept my head below the radar, right? They don't like the MGTOW thing, so they're not supporting me. But we're doing just fine here. We're doing just fine where we are. And yeah, they may come down and do this, or at some point I'm ready to move. If somebody lets me know where to go, and I put that link in the server, but it's not American listed, and that's part of the problem. It's in the UK, so it might be good. They say they're not going to have censorship, but they always say that, don't they? Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, Victor, how are you doing? Yes, Antifa's a gang. No, it's a terrorist organization, no question. And they're contradictory, they're nasty, they're violent, and but then again, you look at what the police are doing, and we just saw a video of it. Holy shit! And so it's funny. And then, continuing on the demoralization, we've got these. We've got these 10. What do they call them? Points or something like that. That Black Lives Matter want 10 points. And all of these, they look reasonable to me. The first one is you don't create a violent situation for a small crime. I'd say take down vandalism. I think that's a big crime. But painting graffiti on a blank wall. No, I don't care about that. I think there should be paint on a blank wall. At least most of them. Not a nice wall, but just a blank concrete wall. I find is an offense to nature. And it's good to paint it. Anyway, and then the stop and frisk. Well, that's horrible. That's just a violation of everything that the Magna Carta stood for. And that sentiment was supposed to be in the Constitution, and it is. And they can't do that. And stop the violence with the victimless crimes. If there's no victim, why are you interfering in anyone's life? That's disturbing the peace, actually. So that's an unlawful act to interrupt anyone's peace. If they're walking down the road, their peace is to continue walking down the road. And if you interrupt them to stop and frisk, you're, disturbing the peace. And they should be, that should be the way it goes. And judges should say, yes, you can't disturb somebody's peace. Yeah. Anyway, 2 and 4 are, independent oversight. That makes sense. Standards for reporting police use of deadly force. And in fact, any force, there should be standards for reporting. That makes sense. And number 5, have racial makeup of the police departments reflect the communities they serve. Well, that makes sense. Unless there's a sudden influx of immigrants. But otherwise, that should be there. And then number 6, require all officers to wear body cameras. Apparently some do, but they're saying all. More training for police officers. Obviously they need it. Number 8, everyone, as far as I know, on the right and left, they don't like to have civil forfeiture. They don't like to have for-prison profits or for-profit prisons. They don't like this stuff. Eminent domain, police trying to, revenue collect through, fines and stuff and quotas to bring in so much money. This is just destroying the community, ultimately, number 8. And it's leading to a lot of violence and a lot of mistrust. I'm not going to support any government in any way that allows civil forfeiture. It's basic highway robbery. And this is what happened with King John just before the Magna Carta was sealed and signed. Was, basically, he would come and take your shit. And you couldn't get it back unless you really did something. So, anyway, number 9, end the use of police military equipment. I think everyone agrees with that. Or who likes to see, an occupying force on your streets? And here we have a decision that unions have such a stake in this that they have to be held accountable. That union officers are now in the chain of responsibility and accountability, and that should be true. That should be there. Accountability and responsibility should be allocated as per the reality on the ground. So these 10 are crazy in that they're not crazy, whereas BLM is crazy. And this is the demoralization. Anyone who reads this says, yeah, okay, I agree with that. Oh, they're protesting for it? Let them protest. I don't care. I ain't supporting any government that that has military looking like police with no independent oversight and no standards for reporting on deadly force. and they're untrained, don't have to wear body cameras, and they just stop people along the street and take their money or frisk them looking for something. And this is the demoralization. So we have to be, I think, steady through this demoralization in the West. I think I was horribly demoralized in the West and had to get the hell out of there. Yeah. Oh, really, Forrest Burns? Yeah, I sort of like Chris Rock. Yeah, you don't want to get a beating from them, but, now you're taking the knee to the police state. There was some union official for the police saying that every year in America there's 365 million interactions between police and people. 365 million interactions. Why so many? Isn't that a lot? Like, there's only, 330 million Americans. Is that true of every country in the West? Like, why do you even need to see them? How in the hell did we ever get by without them? Because it's a fairly recent introduction. Early 1800s, Robert Peel came out with it, but it was, from the company towns that they had police. Then it moved into non-company towns. So it's not like it's been around forever. And so anyway, yeah, no, I'm hoping all men here are good, Victor, too. And it's a difficult time. We're all waiting for it to end, but it doesn't seem to be ending. It seems to be doubling down at every turn. It seems to be, there's little gains here and little gains there, but ultimately the news is being hijacked by the COVID-19 hoax and by all this stuff. And, the swamp is being drained and China is being confronted. And, I don't know whether, everyone's attention is distracted, but I went over what Donald Trump, wrote in his executive order about the national emergency. He declared a national emergency over Hong Kong. And then Attorney General Barr made a speech which, I'm looking at it and I'm roughly his age. And yeah, this is what I've seen in my lifetime. I studied economics. We looked at the Deng Xiaoping model as it came out and what was happening. Communism with Chinese characteristics. And we were wondering how it would work. And the thinking was that, incomes would rise, the middle class would grow, freedom would blossom, and China would join the world as a free power, and it wouldn't suck, continuous huge amounts of resources by running trade surpluses with every country. But that hasn't happened in all these years. It's just continued on, and now the Chinese are making Muslims eat pork, which is not good. They beat up on Christians, they beat up on Buddhists, and they got social credit for the Han majority and everyone. That if you get the least bit out of line, as this broadcast obviously would, then you don't get to take plane trips or anything. So, no, Stone, I didn't hear. Line of MGTOW's YouTube account got hacked. Well, I don't know. Did Howard Dare's account get attacked? I thought he got attacked by his own mods. I thought that was the problem. His own mods were screwing him around because he brought the wrong people on his mods. So, yeah, good one, Victor. Well, you take care of business. In fact, I was listening to BTO just last night. Not that song, but another one. But taking care of business every day, taking care of business. That's what we got to do. Oh, really? Wow. I'll have to look that up. Find out what's going on with Lion and MGTOW. You know, the man's got something great to say all the time. And, you know, I think he knows more than anyone, really. Just the nature of what they represent. You know, in themselves as the toxic creatures now. You know, he probably, I don't know, did he do a show on Will Smith? I don't know, but probably would have picked that out right there. Yeah. And, you know, this is, I don't think it's anything new for MGTOW. In fact, I think MGTOW is the shield against all of this. You know, the demoralization happened back with, you know, no fault divorce, and then fish bicycle, and then all sex is rape, and then the Anita Hill thing, and now we're, you know, in Title IX, and equal employment opportunity claims, and Me Too, you know. Whoa, I'm stunned. Tom Hanks, has he been arrested? Why would he be arrested? Yeah, for douchery. Yeah, my God. You know, I don't know what his gambit is, but you know, he's got Trump derangement syndrome, bad. He probably thinks Mexican is a race. You know, this is the end. Who was I talking to that was saying that so many people just turn off critical thinking? They'll just believe anything anyone says. So if you say, you know, he's anti-Mexican, therefore he's racist. Well, no, that cannot be, because Mexicans aren't a race. It's like American or Canadian. Canadian is not a fucking race. For anyone who wants a Canadian perspective, it's not. It's there's lots of races. Okay, yeah, there's a majority race, but you know, it's not a race. Anyone is there and have been there for a long time. It's been there for a long time. You know, blacks came up to Nova Scotia right after the Revolutionary War, and you know, they founded a couple of towns here and there in the province, and they've been there ever since, coming and going. And you know, that's about it. Yes, marriage is a funeral with a cake. Yeah, better hope that cake is tasty. You got to live on it a long time. Yes, a nation and a culture. Yes, Mexico is definitely a nation, and it is a culture, but it's not a race. Yeah. It's a country, designation, a Mexican country, I guess. But, yeah, beautiful. You know, beautiful down there. I was down there. Up north, it's quite dry. You know, like southern Texas. You know, and but you know, they're in the throes of trouble, and the trouble is emanating from America's horrible stance on the drug war. I think they just want to declare war on everything. It's just like, if we got war, we got violence. You know, and again, yeah, Mexican is a food. Mexican food. In fact, I'm getting hungry right about now, just thinking about it. Give me enchilada, you know, a burrito. Yeah, you know, I like to be down in Arizona. I was down in Arizona for some time working, and I enjoyed it. Lots of Mexican food. In fact, one of my early educations, you know, pre-MGTOW, was from a guy I worked with, you know, and he was a good man, Kerry. He was a good man. I think he was like 36 or something like that, and when I was 25, maybe he might have been 40 even. But you know, he was working a pretty tough and dirty job, and so was I. And one day he just comes into work and he says, "Never marry a single mother." He said it to me, and you know, we got some of the story, and he just looked at me and he said that, and you know, I respected the man. You know, he was a fireman sent over to the Vietnam War, and so he had to put out fires here and there in the Vietnam War, and he didn't, you know, he saw enough action, as it were, but never marry a single mother. And then I thought about it. I actually thought about it. And I realized, yeah, no. And he was just having problems with his marriage. And it was fucking him around and wasn't making him happy. So, if ever after that point, which probably I did meet single mothers, it was like, whoa, just stop. Do not go down that road. I can learn from a man who's been through it, a smart man who I respect, who's been down that road. I didn't know all the shit about it I do now. I didn't know about all of it, but I knew enough to listen to him. And because it was such a simple and earnest plea. And so, and now I see it. I see it all over MGTOW, and I know the reasons, and I would advise immediately, never marry a single mother. Now, we know in some cases it may work out, but it's you're asking for trouble. You're asking for real trouble. Yeah. Well, you go take care of that work, Stone Reaper. Thank you for dropping in. Thank you for the messages on Discord. And you take care. And it's good to get to work. Take the work. As I say now, I think this should be a motto. Good men take what you can now. Take what you can now. And we hope things get better, yes. But it's not looking like that. Although, I'm going to look that up right now, Portsmouth Kev. And I'm gonna put this, because now I got myself nervous. This is brandnewtube.com. So there's a couple of high level people already on that platform. It's just like YouTube, except it's got an ability to direct chat with people. We'll see how long that lasts, but. It looks like a nice working thing. They've just upgraded their servers or their memory or something like that. So, yeah, Father, no, I can believe that number or more. I'm looking for more. Yeah, no, it's going to be an absolute disaster. I mean, I don't know what can stave off the tide of destruction that's going to happen. Yeah. 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 Well, the renters, they just, get a U-Haul and move to a new location. They got a month or two before the police will come, probably. But, this is not going to be good for anyone. I mean, this is a substantial part of a GDP is mortgage and rents, and my God, oh God, and you take that out, oh my, and now Lamprey Melt was saying that they're building skyscrapers that are sitting empty. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's expensive. No, those are big things you got to pay off. So. 39% of homeowners. What was it in 2008, right? How many people got thrown out on the street? It was an absolute. This is cyberpunk. As I say, this is cyberpunk. Good men get what you can now. Yeah, that's going to be a result. This is the disposability of men. Those men who went out on a limb, who tried to start something, who tried to build something, who take it upon themselves to work through the troubles. No, they're going to snap. Every man has his limit, right? You know that, right? Every man has his limit. Okay, you're tough. I know you're tough, but you got a limit. I got a limit. And it's different for different men, and it's different in different ways for different men. Yeah. And, God, I didn't even get to type that in. I got a fact check by USA Today. It's false. Yeah, we're getting no Tom Hanks was not arrested, but an internet hoax says he was. So, fact check, Tom Hanks, others not arrested for pedophilia. Okay. Tom Hanks is not recorded in Jeffrey Epstein's private jet. Okay. We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see everything that comes out of that. I don't know. But okay, I think we got things happening now. Let me see what's going on. I'm in the Discord, and holy shit. I think we're going to have a guest come on pretty soon. I think it's going to be PJP. I thought he'd come into the chat first and let me know he was there. And, my God. Okay, let me turn on my headphones. There we go. In case somebody comes on. Can I hear you?
Hello, check.
I haven't been on Discord in a while. I still got, hopefully, the capture coming through. Looks like it will. Looks like it will.
Powering on. Mic off.
Well. My green light seems to be stuck on. I don't know why. Maybe I'll get out.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me.
I can hear you, brother.
Well, I think I can hear you too. I can hear you. How are you, PJP?
I'm doing really well. I heard some voices on here before. I think someone else was in the chat singing or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, somebody else was in. I saw. I thought I didn't know what was going on. Sorry, I didn't get your message. I was glued to the chat. We got crazy coming. Father No here is crazy with a K, and it's coming. So who knows what's going on? But hey, new era MGTOW Monk. What were the red pills? Coach Greg Adams. I got trouble with him sometimes. He's sort of hedging a bit and saying men can date. I don't think that's a wise decision at all. So I got trouble with Coach Greg Adams, but you know he does great on his hangouts and videos are always well done.
Yeah, I got trouble with anyone who makes the claim to be some kind of a coach. That's I always have issues with those types of people because unfortunately there seems to be an air of maybe superiority because they think they know something that others don't. They need to educate and illuminate their minds. There's something that they need to pass on like some kind of a bloody school teacher. But yeah, maybe it's patronizing from my point of view that somebody would need to coach me.
Yes, that's right. A life coach.
Yeah,
I got trouble with that. But actually, I believe the guy's a sports coach somewhere. So I think he's doing the double thing, right? He's a sports coach, so now he's migrated it over to being like a men's awareness coach or something. I don't know.
That's like somebody who has a doctorate and they like to be called doctor, and it's like, well, technically, you're not really a medical doctor.
You're not a medical doctor, and I'm not letting you operate on my spleen.
Yeah, that's a little bit too deceiving. I think it's something disingenuous about that kind of thing, and
yeah, there is.
Yeah, but yeah, like coaches really frustrate me. A lot of what they say is super obvious, and you know everybody understands that. But they seem to think that the reason people need to be told something that's glaringly obvious is because they don't know the obvious. But to me, it's patronising.
Yeah, that's right. It is. just says if you want to get an answer, think about it and find your own way. But listen to people, but don't take anyone as a coach, a guru, or whatever. Yeah, listen, Father. No, there were voices. There were voices in the Discord hangout, and they were the voice of Black Wolf MGTOW. Are you there, Black Wolf MGTOW?
Damn, this thing on?
Yes.
Yeah, bro, it is on.
It is on.
All right.
Yeah, man, how you doing? I thought I heard someone in here before.
Yeah, it was him.
Yeah, I came because I sang like an entire song about prune juice. He wasn't here.
Shit.
I was that bored. I'm doing great, man. I'm just ready to pretty much ghost in probably about between now and the end of next year. So I'm just trying to enjoy my internet time while I got it.
Yeah, enjoy it. It may come down. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like things are getting really iffy. Does anyone know the list of people taken down? I know Dan Dix from Canada got taken down, and a big guy, another big guy got taken down. No MGTOW guys as of yet. No major guys, but
Yeah. It'll eventually be us after, YouTube gets more PC or whatever the hell they're doing. They're gonna start taking down MGTOW channels one by one. I already kind of see it. I mean, it'll start with the little people, and then later it'll be all the well-known guys, and and those guys will have to find new ways to talk about their content. For me, I've kind of reached a point where I'm almost out of things to say. I've told people to prep, guard their shit, protect themselves no matter what. And that's really all I can say, because when things get bad, they will get bad, and I'm preparing to just ghost completely, just off the grid practically for a while.
Well, I think that's something Yeah, go for it.
I was just going to ask, is Google still operating kind of autonomously, relying more on the algorithm than human intervention? Is this something that the algorithm itself is doing on their behalf that also puts people in a position where it's basically hard to contest any decisions made by a robot that's operating autonomously? So I'm not too sure. I thought Google was still in the whole we're shut down and we're just going to let this thing do its thing, let the algorithm go wild, and we're going to operate from home and all that kind of rubbish.
I'm not sure. It looks to me as though the algorithm is operating, but periodically there's a committee meeting, and then they pick out the people they hate the most and just block them. Yeah. So I think.
Well, you can't become a substitute television if you're not very PC, politically correct, as it were. So ultimately, it's just going to come down to clips from late night TV shows, and celebrities with their supposed reality television style channels that are really just a giant fucking reflection of what everyone used to hate about cable TV and free to air television.
And it's going to get worse. I mean, hell, there's already celebrities and, just semi-named women marrying strangers, or trying to have kids with strangers. That's how bad it's gotten. And after seeing all the crap that happened in the cities, I'm trying to do everything in my power to get the hell away from them, because I don't know when it's going to happen, but I feel it. I mean, dude, it's so bad that I've been lifting weights for practically 3 months because I feel a fight coming on. I feel like I'm going to have to defend myself at some point.
You may.
Hell, I haven't even drinking in a long period of time.
Well, listen, before
I haven't
we go
been
on,
drinking in a long period of time.
Before we go on, can you lower your volume a bit by about 25%, even 25% too loud? Turn down your volume if you can a bit, Black Wolf.
Exactly. 2 point.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing, Father. No,
techno savvy. How do I adjust the volume on this thing?
People are taking coins out of circulation.
And now I'm going to confuse everyone by talking really close to my microphone.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So what's on your mind, PJP? Well, I like the laughter. The laughter's good. We need laughter. Anything particular on your mind, PJP? Is there anything pressing?
Well, I mean, I've just sort of been following and observing
Better or worse?
the way society is sort of heading, and the radicalization's pretty bad. Most people really fail to see it. Like, that's how demoralized and just how irrational people have become. That you nearly are dealing with people that, when they're behaving in a way that's counterintuitive.
And he's gone. He's gone at counterintuitive. He just seemed to drop out on me. I don't know what's going on. I'll say something. You dropped out, PJP. Or maybe I did.
And yeah, it is getting bad, but it can't get much worse until there's some kind of a transition into a new system as a result of all this.
I definitely agree. Is my volume better now?
Yes, it is better. That's good.
Okay. I agree to the extent to where it goes beyond feminism. Hell, it even goes beyond MGTOW at this point. We're entering an age. I mean, much as that, I feel like we're about to enter the fucking dark ages, man. Because influx of not just stupid people. I've just can't. This leaders and run away from them as fast as possible, because I don't want the type of hell on earth they're going to create.
Well, you only got to look at what's happening with protests and riots in the middle of supposed lockdowns, and how it's enabled and in some instances encouraged, and it's just absolutely absurd. I think I've seen a video somewhere about someone who either left the extreme left anarchist style little militias and talking about, how it is super obvious to even the people that are rioting that, it's clear what side the governments are on. It's clear what side the motivations or intent of the law enforcement officers. It's as clear as day that this has been allowed, encouraged, and enabled in the middle of a goddamn lockdown. Like, that to me is that's a slap in the face. It's that obvious that this has all been pushed. It is a form of engineering and just sort of allowing the lunatics to run the asylum and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's a lot like Batman's Gotham, man. It's really messed up, man, because it feels like I have to pull out a damn grappling hook just when I go buy something, just go from roof to roof like Batman. Oh, watch out for the Joker, watch out for Sandman over there.
Yeah.
People losing their minds.
Yeah. No, it's
all the Harley Quinns out there.
It's not enough to stay in the shadows. You got to become like, as you say, Batman and fly above the fray. And they're encouraging, chaotic behavior amidst a lockdown, which puts law-abiding people who want to go out and work and run their small businesses. They put them out of business because you can't have a business here. But then they encourage large groups of people to go up and protest and burn cities down. Nope, none of it's making sense. No. And
that's why, hell, if it comes down to it, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I was just going to address. I don't know what burning cities has to do with UN Agenda 2030. In fact, it looks like the fear that they were going to put people into cities, that's backfiring because people are leaving cities and working from home in the suburbs and even in the country. So this is not what they had in mind if they were thinking about that. So it's hard to tell.
That's why in the countryside, and I can't blame them for doing it. I mean, I've seen a lot of people moving near me, and now I may have to move to get away from them because they bring their craziness from the city, and then they try to bring it over here. A lot of us simply don't play that kind of crap in real places. We'll blow somebody's head off. I mean, if they come and knock around. We just
Well, it's not just the cities anymore, bro. That's the thing, is because what that kind of behaviour is a reflection of that people are environment and a anti-human. It's not humane. It's unhealthy. Mental illness is peaks because of the way people are formed. Used to just be something isolated to those areas. The whole freaking world is now under the same pressure that people used to be under inside cities, only within cities. That's now been spread to the world, basically. So there's really no escaping the fact that people are starting to behave. They're mentally ill. Mental illness is really what it is, and it's because of living in a way in a set of circumstances that it's not conducive to a healthy state of mind.
And this is
you're right. I agree. It does trickle down. Oh, you can go. I just wanted to add that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, they're tripling down, and it's like moving into a panopticon, where the mesh of the the Wi-Fi and the computers and everything, everyone's being observed, and everyone has to obey the lockdown in some extent. Everywhere in cities and in country, they're becoming more similar, and that there's nowhere to escape this control grid. And but again, I don't know what the final push is towards, because people are getting tired of it, and people don't like the Chinese social credit system. People don't like the censorship, and the cancel culture. People are against it. So,
the way I see it, I mean, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna comment.
Keep cutting you off. I apologize.
No worries. Time in a Bottle here says Richie from Boston's channel. Look it up, and I agree. But it's shut down. Apparently, the main one is shut down. So you got to go to Richie from Boston 2 or RFB 2. So it's good to keep an eye on Richie, because he knows what's going on. Yeah. So it could be bringing in the military. It could be fomenting mass mental illness. And how are the people in Australia handling this? PJP, are the people in Australia freaking out?
Well, it used to be something that you could see that it was sort of, you could tar the whole continent basically with the one brush as far as people's state of mind was concerned and the situation. And what's happened is that it's actually become much more dynamic and complex, in that some areas are faring better than others, and the ones that aren't doing so well are doing absolutely terrible. There's hundreds of supposed cases recorded of COVID in New South Wales, no, Victoria, one of the southeast states, not a very big state, heavily populated though, and they're on paper with the numbers looking really bad. People are trying to flee to go to other states, like where I am in Queensland, which basically, as far as the numbers are concerned, we are basically out of lockdown and we're about as free as you can get, still with some restrictions as far as still some, I guess, not restrictions, but some remnants of the behaviours that we were, conditioned to have still. So a lot of people are still obsessed with, hand sanitizers, and social distancing is still something that a lot of stores implement because they're nationwide and they sort of implement nationwide policies. So we're still living with some of that. But and it's bizarre, and there's people in worse situations that are trying to flee like rats off a sinking ship. And it's kind of just, it's gotten very dynamic and complicated. Air quotes, diverse. The situation has diversified, as it were.
Yeah, we got a question here in the chat. Are they forcing vaccinations in Australia?
I haven't heard talk of it, although I'm not very much connected with the mainstream media these days, so I would say, though, if there ever was a country to be the first to impose mandatory vaccinations, it would be Australia. They already have that with children. Your children have to have their mandatory vaccinations or they can't attend schools. That's just your regular run-of-the-mill vaccinations prior, pre-COVID vaccines, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if it was ever going to be a place, it'd be Australia, because we already have the whole system in place as far as children are concerned, and they've only got to extend that to adults.
Right.
It becomes a situation a lot like rats in a box. You ever seen like just a bunch of lab rats, put them in a very small box. Eventually, they'll all start screwing each other. Doesn't even matter male or female. And then if they starve enough, they'll actually start eating each other. That's pretty much the situation society is now in. There's no direction, and mental illness became normal. I have encountered many people who fall into the category of being sociopathic, narcissistic, and just all-out bipolar, sometimes even crazy, and they walk around masquerading as normal. Some of them are speech teachers, some of them are educators, some of them are in positions of authority, and nobody ever questions this.
The reason why people do that is because they want to still have their autonomy, they still want to have their freedom, so their fear is that the restrictions that'll be imposed on them, because they're not as functioning as a quote-unquote regular human being, they feel compelled to do that, so it's a self-preservation mechanism to hide that away.
Yeah, well, they're on the pills.
From what I can see.
Yeah, the pills make it so that they appear like they're normal, but they're not normal. They're having, ideas that are driving them crazy.
Yeah, they're like a high. I think the term for it would be at least high functioning. They function just well enough to go unnoticed, and then they have the little outburst. In the past, I've had teachers and so-called people training me like just randomly go off on me, and then that, I defend myself. All of a sudden, like, oh, Black Wolf, what did you do? That kind of thing. These kinds of people are very dangerous, not only to themselves but society. It's like blind and the blind almost. The guy with no hands is going to help the guy with no feet.
Yeah.
And as the standards of society get lower and lower and lower, it becomes easier for them to be able to be perceived as normal in a society where the bar for what is normal is really, really damn low.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my God.
That's why, as mean as this is to say... Oh, my bad. I was just saying, as mean as this is to say, I'm not above capping a motherfucker if they come near me with their... When society collapses, I'm going to make sure I'm far away from it. I'll live in a cave if I have to. These people are losing their minds. It's that bad to where I noticed it. Can't even go in the store without somebody making a political statement about not wearing a mask and then trying to fight damn near everybody in the store. So I get my shit. I get out of there, and hell, if you saw me, man, I'd walk by just with a package of alcohol and just say, I'm Batman, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
It's got to be Batman. It's crazy.
I think we're watching a video now of people who are unable to hide their mental illness. I think they're reveling in their mental illness. And I think this is the new idiocracy, that people don't even feel they have to hide it, but they celebrate their mental illness. And I don't know what's driving them crazy, but something's driving them crazy.
I think it's a lot of things.
Because there weren't this many.
They're messed up.
How many people in the chat think that there was this many crazy people when they were young? There weren't this many crazy people when I was young. Sorry, Black Wolf, what were you saying?
Oh, no problem. That's because they have no direction. Man, we're looking at a generation that was raised 50 plus years by single mothers. Especially the boys are more screwed over than the girls are, because a lot of women don't give a shit whether their sons are educated or not. And so those same guys grow up, hook up with even crazier women, and then procreate, and it's just a never-ending cycle of stupidity at that point. So it manifests itself. The small people who are a tiny problem back then are now a massive problem now, because no one checked check the idiocy. So now it's become completely normal for someone to just throw a Molotov in a building, or not wear their mask, fight
Oh,
everybody.
you're not sounding very inclusive or diverse there. You might have to check your thinking.
I gotta make sure to check my privilege real quick. I have same privilege. I gotta check that real quick.
And that's the problem. This is one of the weaknesses of leftist ideologies, is the concept of inclusiveness and diversity. And that, I think, it's one of the fundamental weaknesses of leftist ideologies is that, at what point do you draw a moral line in the sand and say, oh no, that's unacceptable, because the person behind that line can say, well, you need to be diverse and include me because I'm different and unique, or I'm special, or whatever parameter they choose to use to masquerade themselves as a unique human being that's valuable. And that's where the left gets infiltrated very easily by people who want to riot and burn cities to the ground.
I'll be right back.
No worries, bro.
Yeah, no, what have they done to the food chain? They put all these antibiotics in it and other chemicals. My God, we live now in a chemical soup. Even where I am, there's a chemical soup, and this is just not working well. Yeah, people can live longer, and some live longer with pretty good health and stuff, but ultimately, you're battling one thing with one drug by taking another drug. And this is the Calhoun rat experiment. Only in the Calhoun rat experiment, wasn't it that the rats were given like paradise? But this is no longer paradise. This is a rat experiment of hell.
Well, that's the funny thing, is that the assumption that the rats were in paradise implies that the state of euphoria that you could get that would make your... See, it's all very subjective, because the assumption is that not having to fight and struggle for necessity is utopia. And that's basically what they took away, is the necessity for those small little animals to wake up every morning and live.
Yeah. I think that was in the Matrix, in the first movie, that they realized that humans, and this was said in the movie somehow, that humans needed to struggle, that they thought that it was too easy and questioned it. So,
well, yeah, I mean, and it's sort of, it raises the question, what is heaven, what is hell? Because what they created was hell, and the road to hell is paved with the best of intentions, and the intent was to minimize suffering and struggle to create this supposed heaven, and it became hell on earth, basically. So, that is the assumption that it is a good thing to not have to fight and struggle for necessity, for what you need.
And that's wrong.
That's the assertion there.
And I think that assertion
Precisely.
is wrong. Yeah. And in fact, I'm going to take this, and I've talked about the do-gooders of the 1960s, and what they did was they gave money to black women to have babies as long as the black man wasn't in the house. And so this destroyed the black family because, as you say, they thought that getting all this free stuff would be better, but it's not better. And now
it's a question is the question that raises, were they incentivized to pursue money, or was the intent to de-incentivize a healthy family unit?
Well, I think
that's the motivation. What is the motivation? What is the intent?
Well, the intent was to reduce the amount of ghetto that was in some of these cities in the north. But what had happened, apparently, is that there was a great migration after World War II of black people from the south who were, small-time farmers, if that, with a low skill base, let's say. And they migrated north to the cities, and some of them worked in factories, but they didn't make a lot of money. And so they were living in ghettos, and there was a lot of them, like a lot more than the immigrants from Europe came over. They were poor, but there weren't so many of them. But these were Americans. And people said, oh, they shouldn't be living like this. Let's give them something. Let's give them more money than the man can earn. Well, he was a sharecropper or something. in the South, and now he's working poor in some sweatshop in Manhattan or something, and they said, well, let's give him more money, and so they gave him more money as long as the guy left the house. So he had to leave the house so the woman could get more money from the government that he could earn. But if you left them there poor, okay, they'd live in hard situations, but the kids would have had the father, and the kids would have gotten the best and then moved up. You know how it works. 3 generations.
Well, that's right, and it's exactly right. Yeah, that doesn't take very long to tear it all down. At all, really. You can witness it within one of your own lifetimes. But I forgot the point I was going to make. And that proves probably one of the biggest, a very important point when it comes to raising children, is that more money, more stuff, just more doesn't equal happier, doesn't equal a more beneficial childhood for a child. So, and it is sort of a little bit difficult because there are some extreme hardships that you would rather a child doesn't go through, and basically most times that will come down to a financial situation, but it's not the be all and end all. It's not the simple fix that this socialist type programs would like to think that it is.
No,
sadly,
sadly,
it's a fine line to walk.
Yeah, I know. No one likes to see people living in hard situations, but if you prevent them from pulling themselves up, then, well, you have a long-term destruction, and that's what we see. We see the creation of a black man underclass. They get picked on by the police, and they're sick of it after 50 years of it, and I don't blame them. And the police have made themselves hated. And
I don't think it's a racial issue as far as like undue force or unreasonable prejudice. I guess I don't think it's a racial thing. Unfortunately, I think that's how often it gets painted. I think it's actually socio-economical, to be frank.
Well, yeah, and I believe, given that. Poor people, if the government's paying, the baby mom and have the kids, and you're a man, you get a little bit of work and you hang out on the street poor and you smoke a joint, then it doesn't matter whether you're black or white. The police see you as a target and will round you up. But because the black family was the pilot project, they got hit first and hardest.
Well, not only that, they're probably statistically, and don't quote me on this as absolute fact, but statistically you'll probably find that there's probably proportionately more people in black communities that live in a lower socio-economical class, and that's why it may be perceived as a racial thing. You got to understand it's a majority white country. It's a country built... Go on.
Yeah, no, that was the problem in the 60s, is that it was an economic situation that overlapped to a large extent all these black people who came up from the South. 5 million of them came up, and they were living in, not good ghettos by the 1960s, and people said, they shouldn't be living like that. So it was a socio-economic thing that just overlapped the fact or the accident that they were black. And so the black men, and obviously white men got thrown out of the house too, so the women could get money from the government, but the black men were numerous and they were targets, and they just got, became fodder for the prison industrial complex way back then. And it became self-feeding, right? That's the problem. It became self-feeding. So...
Well, see, the racial issue I find, especially of late, has become something that's resurfaced yet again as a lot more vitriol, contempt, and prejudice. I start to see it rearing its head back up in the last month or two, and so it's something that it's always going to have to be something we talk about, but it's something I try and tread around very lightly, because there's a lot of hostility. There's a lot of it's an old demon to fight. It's a very old demon to fight,
it is.
and But I'm noticing it. I'm noticing it more and more in the last couple of months. It's starting to rear its head up again, and obviously there's been events that have happened that have been catalysts that have sort of propelled it back into the social arena, the social discussion. But I find it disheartening. I find that the race has to be an issue still very disheartening, because I think there's bigger fish to fry, and that's one of the things that sort of makes me think that perhaps it's been pushed to get people back away from talking about socioeconomical inequality. I think it's a much bigger issue, and one of the fundamental flaws of capitalism is the more money you have, the more money you can make, and the less you have, the wider the gap will get between you and the people at the top.
Yeah.
I think it's something that needs to be talked about more, and I think race should fall by the wayside. It's still obviously an issue that has to be discussed, but I hate how it takes such prevalence.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a distraction from other issues. The Black Lives Matters, I say those 10 points, they're really dealing with police overreach, police failures, police brutality, and are reasonable ways to stop it. But this whole thing about white supremacy, well, this is distracting from the issue. White people
and it's misrepresented too. That's
the
thing I hate about it, is how misrepresented it becomes, because it's like, well, let's talk about statistics of white people that end up as the victim of police brutality. Let's talk about those numbers and instances of women and children being harmed or killed at the hands of police officers. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the whole issue. Let's not just spotlight this one issue that makes it seem like it's race relations between the different races. And that frustrates me, because it's very disingenuous. And once you know some of the statistics, you sort of sit back and think, holy fuck, this is like zooming a camera in on a matchstick that you've just lit and going, holy shit, look, the whole world's burning. You know what I mean?
It's not.
Making a mountain out of a molehill.
I got the statistics up on the screen now, and the bottom one tells us that the United States is 67 times the number of police killing civilians than England and Wales. So it's 33.5 to 0.5. So,
I can explain that. I can explain that very easily. Because when you've got a disarmed population, the police have less of a tendency to succumb to irrational behaviour due to fear that they may have to defend themselves against somebody who is armed. So you always find that a nation where they've disarmed the populace, the police have less of a proclivity to shoot to kill, because their fear has been eased, their fear has been brought down. And a lot of the factors of disarming population, and it's not a lot, sorry, one of the factors is due to police unions and basically the mentality that police officers are just workers doing their job and they should be safe. And that's not what we have police for. And when you have a gun on your hip, you must be prepared to basically have to accept the fact that you may die. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. And we can't have police cowards who have a union. And I hate police unions. I absolutely hate them. They're corrupt as fuck.
Yeah, they are.
I hate most unions, actually. They're corrupt as fuck nowadays, and they're all heavy socialist, leaning leftists. But and then that's one of the reasons why you have less death, and it's pushed for the safety of the officers and safety of the armed forces, all this kind of shit. And it disempowers the population, decreases their fear, and then you have a trickle-down effect where police are less likely to shoot to kill.
Well, I'm going to tentatively say there's something in that, but then I'm going to point to Switzerland, and Switzerland has 0 killings, and every man is armed in Switzerland. So
well, that's probably a credit to the training of the officers, or to the character of the people that are in the force.
Yeah, no, I think it's a sense of community as well. That and the sense of community. the Swiss people are.
So they perhaps have they're less mentally ill potentially than
Yeah,
basically.
probably, definitely that. But yeah, no, they're in it, and the men all go to training for the military, and they all come out with a weapon, and so and the police don't need to really enforce anything because no one's breaking the law. But in America, they've made victimless crimes the modus operandi. They've disenfranchised a lot of black men. They put them into an underclass, and they've generated crime, and they like it.
Well, that's in line with capitalist ideology. It's basically revenue raising and control.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, victimless crimes, it's something that in Australia is a big issue. Basically, we are what you call a big brother country in the truest sense of the word, as to truest sense of the phrase. And, victimless crimes here are really, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't draw up any specific information. I've looked into this a long time ago when it comes to what they call infringements rather than a criminal act, a crime. There's different levels of law that sort of are treated differently. And I do apologise. It's just something that I've looked into in the past, and I had a lot of information back then that I could rattle off to you off the top of my head. But maybe I'm getting old and forgetful. But I do definitely agree with what you're saying there. That the concept of crimes which really are crimes against the state rather than crimes against people, that I have a lot of problem with.
Yeah, and maybe this has been a libertarian talking point for a long time, that if there's no victim, there's no crime, and thus it's a lawful action.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between lawful and legal. By the way, if you didn't know, look it up, and there's a number of different ways of describing the difference. But what they've done in Canada recently is they've decriminalized possession of marijuana, which means that if you have it on you, you're not going to jail. If you smoke it, you're not going to jail. But they can't decriminalize something that's not lawful. And so legal sort of means it's punishable. So somebody in a statute determines that it's a punishable act. And you can make unlawful acts illegal in the same way, and that's what they did. Murder is unlawful, so they made it illegal, and so on. Robbery is unlawful, so they made it illegal. But then they made things like smoking marijuana illegal, but it was a lawful act because right now it's legal.
That all seems very abstract and unnecessary, to be quite frank with you.
I know, but this is the way that the law works. They have these two terms, and what they do is they punish people. You should be punished for unlawful acts. Legal should not even be a word we use. And so unlawful means you create a victim. That's the end of it. And the community agrees that a victim is created, and the victim can stand up and detail how they've been made a victim by showing the harm. And this is the problem. We've gotten away from lawful into legal, and legal is words written down on a paper, and they write it down because psychopaths don't understand lawful and unlawful. They have to read that stealing from somebody is wrong or bad and is punishable. Whereas a regular person will just figure out it at 7 years old. You don't steal from people because you make them feel bad. But psychopaths don't feel bad, so they have to be told. And that's why we have these statutes. It's for the psychopaths. And nobody ever told us. So, anyway,
breaking up a bit there, bro.
Am I breaking up a bit? I put a list of where is it? Yeah, a list of killings by law enforcement in the chat there from Wikipedia. I guess it's okay. I don't know. Probably not going to be bad, but some countries are pretty nasty at the moment.
I can hear you loud and clear, MGTOW values, and to time in the bottle. That number is going to decrease because they're already releasing prisoners because they can't.
Oh yeah,
It's gonna get worse. You're gonna have the mentally ill fighting prisoners.
yeah. I don't know. They're letting people out. They're letting people who do real crimes like robbery and assault. They're letting them out of jail, and putting somebody in to jail who's not done any harm to any human. This is wrong. Stolen valor.
Yeah, that's the problem with approaching. I was going to say that's the problem with applying the capitalist ideology or the capitalist modus operandi to crime, and then you end up with a situation where you've got people committing crimes against the state as well as people committing crimes against other people lumped in together. A justice system that's overburdened and struggling. Then you have to have privatized prisons that operate for profit, and the whole thing just becomes a clusterfuck of oppressing and destroying society, essentially, all in the name of money and power and control. And that's not how it's supposed to operate at all.
At all. Yep. So, Black Wolf MGTOW, you got to settle down a bit. You're talking about people trespassing. You're going to shoot them. Now you're talking about death for people who have stolen valor, and stolen valor is something wrong. It's something bad. It's a breach of contract, actually, I think, Forrest J. Burns, because you have a contract with people that you will not lie. And this is thus a breach of contract. So, I think
Not to
that,
mention,
yeah.
oh my bad, I was gonna say, not to mention, it's an integrity thing too. It's like if somebody was lying. It's like me walking around lying about being a surgeon, and everyone goes, "Oh, you're not a surgeon." Well, I have a fork and a spoon. I mean, people should get beat up for that.
Yeah, well, see, that's it. So I believe we had.
Sociopaths love that type of mentality. They absolutely love it because it basically implies that people have to trust and believe them, because without trust within a community or within a business or organization, everything collapses. So the trust has to be there for it to function.
Right.
And the sociopath loves that because that gives them the upper hand by refusing to operate in the same manner that an otherwise trustworthy human being would. So it's punching below. It's the first one to punch below the belt wins, and that's what they're doing. And it creates a race to the bottom where people see that these sociopaths are refusing to comply with certain societal norms or unspoken agreements. And then what happens is everybody races to go lower and lower and lower and lower to sort of take advantage of the fact that society has to operate on trust, and the more they betray trust, so it becomes a vicious cycle, really.
Yes, it does.
And this is why the only thing I agree. I was gonna say, this is why the only thing you can really do for them is either kill them or exile them, because I know some people would say, "Oh, that one small sociopath over there, he's not that much of a problem." Yeah, maybe not by himself, but when these idiots replicate, and they do,
Yeah.
they meet up with other crazy people, and then it just becomes Arkham Asylum, pretty much.
Well, that's where you get conspiracies
They
to
create
defraud, and these large conspiracies, like the new one here with Wirecard in Germany. It was a company and the auditors conspired to steal $2 billion. But we'll go back to the question of stolen valor. Again, I don't think it's like a theft of anything, like that. I think it's a breach of contract. That despite the fact that sociopaths leverage our trust, that within the community, at least of every community I've been in, they want people to speak honestly and truly. But we've got rid of that. We've allowed the media to lie. We've allowed politicians to lie, and we don't tar and feather them and drive them out.
Well, it also falls into one of the behaviors of sociopaths, and that is an overinflated sense of entitlement.
Yeah, no, these people are dangerous. The sociopaths are dangerous, and they get into positions of power. And this is the problem. They get into government. They get into the legislature, the police, the judges. Some of these people are psychopaths, and they don't know honor, they don't know guilt, and they will betray and defect and do anything they think that gives them an advantage. So
well, and that's something that I have a lot of trouble with too. Is that when you talk about guilt, aka shame, is something that we've seen that has been so heavily bastardized and abused in society to the point. I think it's one of those things where people become desensitized in a society that takes offense to everything, wants to shame everyone for everything, and you end up with people who, unfortunately, no longer self-regulate their behaviors because they feel that society wants them to be ashamed of everything, so they become ashamed of nothing. And I think it is a very dangerous place to sort of be in, that something that is I guess a countermeasure to bad behavior or poor choices has become something that has become a weapon that people no longer want to have pointed at them, so they don't acknowledge, they don't incorporate it into their behaviors and into their life, into their ideology, I guess.
yeah, people are not doing things they should be doing, and are doing things they shouldn't be doing, and a lot of it. So,
Well, to explain from my well-spoken friend, not enough people are getting hit with a stick. That's what's happening.
yeah,
That's why I do have issue with the non-aggression principle. I think the non-aggression principle is something that you can't tar everyone in every situation with that one brush. Unfortunately, the non-aggression principle does have its faults.
Yep, it doesn't apply
For some
to
people.
psychopaths. Do not care about it one way or the other.
Yeah.
Anyway, Black Wolf MGTOW, I just sent you a DM. You can read it in the Discord. Okay, take a read. Anyway.
I don't mean to sidetrack you there, but you made me think of something that I've noticed too. Is that I don't know if anyone else has, but has anyone noticed the fact that we've changed the acronym or the phrase PM, a private message, to a DM, a direct message, because they're both the same thing. And I think at some point that terminology had to be changed because they're no longer private. Just had to bring that up.
I didn't realize that there was a PM for private message, to tell you the truth. I'd always assumed that it was only a DM on this.
I remember the early days of when Facebook was in beta,
Wow.
and it was for a very long time. Whenever you sent someone a message, it was a PM. It was a private message.
Wow.
It wasn't broadcast to the general public, so it was considered to be private. And they had most definitely, in this day and age, no longer
Sorry about
private
that.
messages.
Is it still bad?
No, you're coming in okay. Yeah, no, I guess
Okay.
things should change because PM means post meridian, which means afternoon. So I'm happy with DM.
As messed up as to say, the only thing anyone else is doing is just delaying the inevitable, especially the people running around going, "Oh, we're traditional." It's not going. They're going to be overwhelmed by these people. They're going to just flood everything, and as much as I hate to say it, sometimes you have to destroy in order to rebuild, because everything just needs to be done. People are talking about police reform. We need a fucking cultural reform. We need a reform on an epic level, like a hard reset, because nobody is keeping idiots in check at all.
At all.
There needs to be a universal rule that everybody has to follow, regardless of creed, culture, or whatever. There needs to be some type of universal rules that people need to start following, because we can't keep like throwing a safety net out for assholes. We can't do it. Let the lion eat them.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
And ultimately, with this COVID-19 hoax, you see the medical industry attempting to assert, superiority by abandoning modern medical science. So I'm still on the Cox postulates, and they haven't demonstrated a cause and effect, and yet they're telling everyone there is. So because they get power, we have an institutional failure. So many places are having an institutional failure that it's just breaking down. So in this hard reset, whatever that's going to look like, these institutions have to voluntarily collapse and have no more power.
No, well
from
then
institutions.
then it's not.
Sorry, you broke up pretty
Sorry,
bad.
no,
I
it's
missed
not
it.
an establishment.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that then they are no longer an establishment. They're no longer established, which is something that it's got a lot of firmament to it. It implies a lot of, and you won't ever get rid of what is established because they don't want to know. They don't want to not be an establishment.
That's right.
And that's where you end up with this thing like bailouts and stuff like that, government assistance, government grants. And that's where the natural order of things falls down. And I really do hate seeing government bailouts of any type on any level because as a libertarian, we'll probably deserve because that's just the natural order of things.
Yeah, and
I agree.
And I think that's part of the demoralization, that these established institutions, whatever they are, that do not want to give up power and are dysfunctional and are having institutional failure, that they make everyone say, I don't want to support this anymore. And that's it. They don't want to support marriage as an institution. They don't want to support the American Medical Association because of all these doctors get on these junkets with the big pharma, and the Bar Association is famous for having mysterious undertakings and so on and so on. And yet they all get preferable treatment by government, and this is not good. In fact, government itself is a preferential group, and nobody trusts them. We see institutional failure in all levels of government, and they're riddled with psychopaths. So, yeah, this is part of the demoralization. Yeah.
Psychopaths that women procreate with and have kids with. And I know a lot of people get on me for this, but I'm still blaming women for a majority of this because they're the ones who keep having kids with serial killers and thinking, oh, my kid is just normal. I'm like, yeah, he's normal, all right, but he has serial killer tendencies. We're all going to ignore little Johnny over there burning up the fucking house.
As far as
Blind they are.
As far as I know, Black Wolf, and I'll be corrected on this.
Yeah, women.
Psychopathy is not genetically inheritable. It just happens.
However, it has been proven though that people will have more of a disposition towards mental illnesses due to their genetics. It's not the sole determining factor, and it's not exactly something you can inherit, I guess. But there are some people who have more of a proclivity or a
predisposition,
an inclination.
Yeah, they call it a genetic predisposition. There may be that with a lot of things, and
it's like being pre-diabetic in a sense. It doesn't mean the person has diabetes. It just means the person is kind of predisposed to get it. They have a likelihood of getting it.
Yeah,
because it's also been proven. Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say it's also been proven that for every man a woman's been with, some of his DNA is left behind. I didn't really get too much into it, but it was just something I was reading about. So that could also affect the
I don't know how far
birth of the child and child's personality.
Yeah, I don't know how far I'd go with that, but I've heard about it. But genetic predisposition is possible, but this is the nurture-nature dialogue, and predispositions is not a modern science. It's like it's like palm reading or something. There's a chance of it, and we don't know whether that'll come out or not. So if you want to believe it'll come out, you can probably make it happen.
Well, that's right. It has to be something that's encouraged and nurtured to come to fruition. And the thing is that with childhood, with children and young adults, that you only have one shot at it. So whatever your situation was that you grew up in and you were raised from, the odds of you actually changing as an adult, very, very, very low. You are basically shaped into the human being at that point in time as who you're going to be. So it is. I agree with. I sort of understand what you're trying to say there, and MGTOW values in that. I think a child's upbringing, their education, their moral compass, and their experiences, whether they be positive or negative throughout their childhood, has probably got much greater effect, especially long term, on the type of human being that comes as a result of that childhood, rather than genetics.
Yep. Things like hair color or eye color. Okay, that's heavy at the genetics. But if you're born in the hood and you got to fight your way through the neighborhood every day to just get through life, you're gonna give something up for that. You're gonna give up, a friendliness. You're gonna give up trust, and because we're humans, we don't like to give up friendliness and trust, and so you'll form gangs and to get the friendliness and trust, and so this is what they've done. They've
Well, there's two reasons why people do form gangs, and one of them is they're attracted to some kind of a family or group dynamic of inclusion, of sense of belonging, but it's also to avoid fear as well. That's another reason.
Oh yeah, big time.
Gangs, especially in areas.
Yeah.
People want to feel the protection of the group. So there's two reasons that people do it. It's usually a combination of both. But and that's the one that worries me the most, is that people form groups and clans and tribes to try to mitigate their feeling, and often overwhelming feeling of fear, because fear leads to cowardice, and cowards do cowardly shit, and they are very dangerous.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Cypher on the Matrix, right? He turned into a coward because he was afraid of the truth. And so, it's that. Hey, Black Wolf, we can still hear you breathing. Pull away from your mic.
Oh, that's my fan. Let me turn that off.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, turn off the fan. I see the fan's turning. My God, Jesus.
Yeah, had us worried, bro. You're sitting there doing all that deep breathing and shit. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
I don't worry, I haven't gone full-blown hockey mask yet. I'm getting there, though.
Yeah, my God. No, it's a tense situation. We appreciate the hockey mask and bashing people when they trespass, but MGTOW Ghost Level 4, this is the way through this. People are playing games. They don't know the games they're playing because they're being manipulated. There's larger powers at work to benefit from this chaos, to benefit from the destabilization. And in all of this, there's a disposability of men. I think that should be the first question we ask. How is a man being disposed of in this situation? And
well, he's expected to be the pillars to hold it all up, unfortunately, as it crumbles and fails. And the children panic. They want, protection from the adults, which is not going to come in the form of a woman. Comfort can, but not protection. And then as it fails, the women are looking to the men to sacrifice or to commit to, protecting the woman from the oncoming failing, the oncoming collapse, the economic pressure, all the burdens of trying to keep everything going when all forces are working towards making it fail. That becomes men's burden, and I think it's unfair and unreasonable of a position for men to be in, because most men will want to try to rise to the challenge, and that's carrying the whole weight of the world on your shoulders, and that's a lot to carry.
Yes, it is a lot to carry.
Why on that fateful day, man? You guys might even see me on the news on that fateful day. I'm just gonna put a basketball on my shirt, buy one of those wigs or something, and then I'm closing the door on women. I'm not saving them. I'm just gonna lock the door. I'm pregnant.
As I'm locking the door, I'm like, remember, you are a woman. I need to hear you roar. Take care of yourself. That fish bicycle might save you, like fish need bicycles. Go and look to the fish.
So you were just talking about men's sacrifice. This is probably a good time to bring up this picture. And MGTOW has talked a lot about this, and I captured this picture, which shows it. And in a different time, in a different age, you would understand it. But the picture now on the screen is of a 6-year-old boy. He's in some rural part of America, Wisconsin or Wyoming or something like that. And there was a dog, the neighbor's dog, was attacking, and he was attacking his little sister there. And so,
yes, I've seen that.
And so he stepped in, and he took the bites from the dog, and he pushed the dog away a bit and dragged his sister to safety. And he said, "Well, if anyone was going to die, I thought it should be me."
That's terrible.
Well, it is terrible, but there you have men. There you have a man and a 6-year-old boy, and look at him. Look at that expression. Look at that. You can tell the man he's going to be.
You know what I hate about the photo? I hate the look of that photo of the young girl, because it kind of has that blissfully ignorant look in her face.
Oh yeah, there's no question. There's no question.
Yeah.
She is blissfully ignorant. She's what, a 4-year-old girl, but it doesn't matter. She could be a 40-year-old woman. She still is blissfully ignorant of what that man said to himself.
That's troubling.
When a 6-year-old boy takes a dog. But, in a different time, okay, you needed to protect the woman, to protect the community, sustainability. Now, who cares about a community sustainability? But the boy still has that drive, and we all have that drive.
In a way, this kind of works out for everybody. I apologize for cutting you off. I was going to say, in a way, this kind of works out for everybody. As mean as this is, if the simps rise up to protect and perish in the process, then women are going to have to fight on their own. And in a very weird way, it'll kind of breed the warrior gene back into existence by value of necessity.
Well, I don't know. If the simps are fighting, then they have the warrior gene. But they're disposing of themselves for no value. So
they can't pass it on if they're dead, though.
Well, yeah, but they're not passing on the warrior gene that they have, because they want to be white knights. So they have the warrior gene. It's just misdirected, because they're getting no value from it. They stand up for some woman, and she fucks them. She stabs them. She goes back to the bad boy. So why in the hell is he endangering himself? But for the 6-year-old kid, he doesn't know. But maybe there is a traditional sense out there. The white picket fence is still in that community or something. But one nice thing about this story that they wrote about, which was great, I thought, is that the neighbors, their dog attacked these kids, but it wasn't the neighbors. So they were horribly apologetic and aghast at everything. But the parents and of these kids didn't blame the neighbors. They certainly didn't.
Well,
blame
they should, because unfortunately a dog's behaviour is always a reflection of its owners.
Yeah, but
so that begs the bigger question: why have you allowed a dog to take on a type of mindset where it attacks little kids?
No, they know the neighbors. They know the neighbors to be good people, and the dog was probably friendly. No, dogs.
Oh, nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors. And
well, that's right.
I tell you, a well-domesticated, well-behaved, and properly socialised animal will not attack children. Yeah, I'm just going to say that.
That's right. And so what I'm thinking is that the dog, had some sort of illness, rabies or something that drove it crazy or something. Dogs do have problems, like humans, go nuts sometimes, and just lose it.
I agree.
It's rare.
Yeah, there are some bad owners out.
There are bad owners, and yes, dogs are generally a reflection of the owners, but dogs can have bad days.
I don't think there's necessarily as many bad owners as probably, what you sort of make it sound like, because I just want to add a caveat, because, well, you're not wrong. I just want to add a caveat to that to say that it's all situational. Like, if you lived out in the middle of nowhere on some really big acreage, you kind of want your dog to be willing to jump into action to, take care of trespassers or thieves or anything, that kind of thing, where it becomes more closely tied to you have more of a necessity from that animal other than companionship. So it's situational, but definitely when you're in a situation where the animal's surrounded by a community and the elderly and the infirm, a dog that will do that to a child, some big mistakes have happened there. And
Yeah, something's
so anyway, I
happened.
don't mean to derail the whole. Yeah, I don't mean to derail
Some
the
animals-
conversation.
Yeah, no, we would have to investigate the dog's history and find out what's happening. But ultimately,
I mean, there's a lot to analyze, you know. Oh,
You know.
sorry. I was going to just say there's a lot to analyze, and especially in terms of the breed, because different dogs have different temperament. Like, I know I can never take Shadow. I can't even take Shadow to the park for obvious reasons. But
I
at the
thought-
very least, he knows when to spring.
I thought Shadow was a wolf.
Yeah, he is. That's why I can't take him to the park
Well, that's
anymore.
That's not a dog. It's a wolf. Oh,
Yeah, you're missing a few thousand years of fucking domestication in that animal, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, here's another quick
I mean, it's
picture
true.
to remind you of the demoralization. We got all those chunky women and God knows what. That one woman with the top on.
It's about time. I've never seen him like attack a kid or anything. I mean, the only time he gets up in arms is when I start yelling. Then he springs into action if I yell.
Yeah,
Something
well,
like-
that's good then. Yeah. That's what you want. Somebody to stand up for you.
The only downside is, let's say I'm watching TV or I'm just having a good time. Just the act of me raising my voice, he perks up like something needs to be done. Because I remember many years ago, me and a friend got in an argument. And he was about to attack my friend. I told my friend, like, dude, lower your voice because I know we're fighting, but he's about to get pissed.
Yeah, I'm getting a couple comments here in the chat, and I agree. I think that pit bulls. Pit bulls are from what I hear, even if they're well trained, they have a tendency to go off, like one in 100 or 1 in 1,000. They just go off. And terriers, I don't like terriers. Any type of terrier, I find them unpredictable. You know, I used to deliver stuff door to door, and it was always the terriers. That one day they were nice to me, and the next day, fucking, they yelled and barked at me. Like, what's going on?
But yeah, they've got a lot. I think a lot of them have like small man syndrome, small dog syndrome.
Yeah,
maybe.
see, that's it. They got small dog syndrome.
They definitely have more attitude, and maybe that's a bit of a behavioural counterbalance to the fact that for the vast majority of their breeds, they're not big dogs.
Yeah.
But I don't mind terriers because their bark is worse than their bite.
Yeah.
I will give them that to their credit, but yeah, they have a weird temperament.
Yeah. Yeah. Chows have the bark worse than the bite too. Yeah. Yeah. So there's always a backstory, and to that horrible video about that guy being tased. There might be a backstory which would change my opinion, but from what I see, I'm seeing, that people should answer the backstory right away. Just come out and be transparent. But we're not seeing transparency. We're seeing people trying to protect their asses, and by protecting your ass,
see,
you endanger the community.
People can make their own assertions. People can make their own assertions and assumptions about what they perceive that they're seeing. They instantly get a visceral reaction to the optics without knowing more about the situation. That's intentional. It's the clickbait mentality of modern mainstream media, in that you don't really know the truth till later on, because the truth will help calm people's fear or their emotional state of mind, given the perception of what they've witnessed. So it's intentional to withhold the information. It's definitely intentional. And that's why whenever I see something that's racially charged, racially motivated, supposed race crimes or hate crimes, I always have to wait 6 to 12 months before all the information comes out.
You find out there's some sort of connection, some sort of deal gone bad in the past or something.
Yeah, and that's intentional. It's designed to prey on people's emotions. It's to elicit very strong reactions, especially when everybody's more radicalized and.
Now there was that guy in Buffalo. That old guy in Buffalo. So there was a backstory there. Apparently, he's a professional agitator or a professional protester. So he protests police stuff and government stuff a lot. And he had a phone, and I saw it, and I didn't quite understand what he was doing. I thought he was like filming or something, but he had a phone, and he was trying to scan the police communication number so that they could tap into it or something. And then he got pushed, and he fell down and hit his head, and then they walked past, and one guy called for, police, but he was there, bleeding on the ground, and no one was assisting him. So I didn't know the backstory the first time, but at this point, I don't care about the backstory. That he's up protesting, the police state. Okay, well, maybe that's a good thing to do. And that he's trying to get a police number. Well, maybe that's a good thing to do as well. Why are the police hiding this number? Do the police need to do all their activities behind closed doors? No. So let's have the police be transparent. They can do most of their job transparently. And why not?
Well, it doesn't allow for corruption. And that's one thing I've noticed that I've dealt with police before, is that a lot of times they do operate behind but a mentality that sometimes to catch the cunning criminal, you've got to bend the rules and break the rules to be able to achieve the goal.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe that's due to the fact that, they're over-regulated, over-controlled as well.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, no, that's the only reason why you would have secret meetings, or you would have, a non-transparent mentality, is so that you can break the rules to get away with it.
Well, no, not even to break the rules, but some sting operations, no, they should be done in private, and they should have a temporary, secure line. But for regular police duties, that doesn't have to be secretive. That's not a national security issue or an issue that's going to cause someone to be able to escape when they shouldn't. So, yeah, no, I agree that in some cases they should be able to have secure lines, not necessarily break the law. And in some cases they shouldn't be allowed to benefit from someone else breaking the law or something. But the main thing to do is to get the nasties off the street. And, we got 4% psychopaths, and they're dangerous. So, yeah.
True.
So I, even the backstory in that one about the guy being pushed, it doesn't change the fact that they pushed an old man down and they walked over his body while he was sitting on the ground bleeding, lying down on the ground bleeding, and then they lied about it. The worst thing is that they lied about it. They said that he tripped. Well, he didn't. He was pushed, and yeah, he might have tripped over backward because he was pushed, but he didn't trip. He was pushed. So they lied. And that's what the problem is. They can't lie. That's why it should be transparent. So, this is part of the demoralization. They get caught lying, and lying and lying and lying. And and none of the cops are saying, no, that's a lie. You can't tell a lie. So we're the good cops saying to the chief of police, no, you can't tell a lie. I will tell the truth if you lie. Where in the hell are the good cops? There doesn't seem to be. This is an institutional failure. This is a breakdown. So,
see the good. This is where it becomes problematic for them as a group to operate with a tribal mentality. Is that unfortunately the guy who does the right thing is intractable, in that he can't be controlled. He won't conform. He won't comply. He'll do the right thing regardless of whether it's convenient or not. And that makes people with a group mentality, a tribal mindset, afraid of them. They see them as a potential betrayer, as someone who can basically be perceived as treacherous.
That's right.
That's why you'll always have that problem, and in a tribal mindset that people who do the right thing are perceived as a threat. Potential.
Yeah, so in that video we saw about the Brooklyn police officer, the first one pushes him, and then the second one pushes the guy as opposed to taking the first cop out. The second guy is part of a tribe, and he cannot be a good cop because he was hired to be a bad cop, and this is the systemic failure. All cops are bad, and that is what we're seeing, and we see that the community doesn't want to be policed by bad cops. They want the cops
You
that
know,
do the
by
right
the
thing.
same,
Yeah, what's that?
I was gonna say, by the same token, those same so-called it's a lot like the Dark Knight Joker movie. These nice, kind, civilized people, they will eat each other. It
Yep.
won't. Sometimes it won't even necessarily be the person that was already a repeat offender. Usually, it's that person has been nice their whole life, and then finally, when they get pushed into a situation, they come flying out like a bat out of hell and become the worst thing on the planet, practically.
Oh yeah, civility is a modern luxury that you take away all the things that make life easy and convenient and simple, and animalistic primal urges have to take over for the sake of survival or prosperity. Yeah, civility falls by the wayside very quickly. It is definitely a modern convention.
Yeah. I think
To have.
John the Other spoke about this week, and he talked about like a candy coating on civilization, and that inside is murder and mayhem, and that we're wearing away this candy coating which protects civilization. And we got a reverb on the sound. Let me see if I can fix that here. And whoops, I know where to go. And we'll try about this. Okay, how's that? Is the reverb still there? Is the reverb still there? There.
Check, check, check.
Yeah, you're in there. I muted Black Wolf. We were having sound trouble with him. Yeah, society's a thin veneer, and we're talking about wearing that away. This is the dissolution of the ties that bind. Nobody's listening. Everyone's talking. No one's, a lot of people are not making sense. Okay, well, it sounds good. I don't know. Anyway, I've unmuted you again, Black Wolf. I don't know. Stop.
Thanks, I needed to reset.
Yeah, anyway, stop messing with your mic. There you go. Anyway, yeah, John the Other had a video on talking about this, and something made me remember a song by Kansas called Mysteries and Mayhem. And in that song, there's mention of the mark of Cain. So I looked it up, and apparently Cain and Abel were the first two humans born. They were brothers and children of Adam and Eve. And Cain killed Abel. And, well, this wasn't good. There's stories about why Cain killed Abel. Not a good, jealousy over a woman, maybe, or something else.
What do you mean over a woman? There's only those two dudes. Like, how do they even make the next generation of people? Were they just fucking their mum or what?
No, good question. Good question. Exactly. How did they? Well, they had a sister. They had two sisters, at least initially. I don't know how many kids Adam and Eve had, but a lot, I guess.
Oh, this is getting sick. This is not getting better. This sounds worse already.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, this is sickness. This is incest. This is definite incest. There's no question. So
okay, you get mom on Tuesday, I'll get sister on Saturday.
No, there was a beautiful sister and a not so beautiful sister, and Cain wanted the beautiful sister, but apparently Adam said, no, make an offering to God and God will choose. And Cain was a miser, and so he put out a little offering, and Abel gave his fattest sheep as an offering, and God picked Abel to have the beautiful wife, so Cain killed him. That was one story. And but what we have here at the very beginning of the history of humans is we have that mayhem right under the surface. It cannot be avoided because it's born with you. So the mayhem is there, and it's the murder is there. The first murder was done by the first human, and so that veneer of civilization, it's covering the murder and mayhem, which is essential to our very being. Or it's not essential, but it's there. It's latent. It's latent underneath.
This is why I say that we as humans, we're capable of great good and capable of great evil, but we're akin to the animals. Only difference is we rationalize differently, and we need like to strive to a purpose, whereas most animals just they live for the sake of living. And with us, we need some type of purpose, whether it be good or bad. We're the only creature on this planet that thinks like that, which is kind of cool but sad at the same time.
Well, we
Because
have to do something with our consciousness, with our awareness, self-awareness. We have to do something with it. Unfortunately, it's inescapable. You do nothing but live for the sake of necessity as a human being, and life doesn't seem very bright at all, unfortunately.
true. That's why we have to have things to entertain ourselves, so to speak. Which is, I mean, animals are just like whatever I want to live, but as much as I hate to say this, we are a species that needs to be entertained somewhat, or we will just go fucking crazy. Like be it socialization or entertainment. That's why we seek those bonds sometimes the wrong places, be it in the form of gangs or just a wrong crowd of people. We seek that, and instead of actually harnessing that, the average person will just go with whatever is good at that time. We're naturally opportunistic in a way. That used to be our survival part of our survival mechanism to adapt, but now since we practically slayed every dragon almost, there's no longer need to pick up a sword, and hell, there's no longer even need to pick up a shield. I mean, so they say. We all know that shit's gonna get real, but at the same time, they have raised and bred society to be fat, dumb, and happy. So
Fat,
for you to break
dumb, and
away from
happy.
that, it puts you in the section of abnormality. Yep.
Yes, that's it. Fat,
Puts you in
dumb,
the
and
section of
happy.
abnormality.
You know, I think MGTOW is a realization that they're making men fat, dumb, and happy in order to slaughter them, to dispose of them. So this is time to wake up and to realize that whatever's going on, these are big forces at work: manufactured destabilization, petty or massive, long term or short term. So, the Wall-E world. My God. Anyway,
Well, gentlemen, I have to take this opportunity to bow out. I've got to go and take care of a few things, but thanks for having me, Big Town Values. I appreciate it.
oh,
It's
welcome.
lucky, we happened to get in touch with each other earlier on, a couple of days ago, and so
That's right. Good. Yeah. No, sorry,
that was good.
I missed it last week. But if you're in the chat, just say you want to jump in, and we're in. That goes for anyone.
I can take it or leave it. It's always good to have a conversation with you.
Excellent.
You're always a conversation I enjoy. So, but at the same time, I can take it or leave it. So,
Yep. Good.
such is life. C'est la
Such
vie.
is life. C'est la vie.
C'est la vie, mon ami.
So yeah,
Good.
with that,
Take off.
I'll
Yeah,
bow
take
out.
off.
Take
And
care, gentlemen.
thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming in. Go take care of business. And that goes with everyone. We were singing that BTO song all day long. Taking care of business. Every day. Taking care of
Working
business.
overtime.
and
Later.
And
See
later,
ya.
man. Later, man. And that's it. Work the overtime if you can. Right now, good men. Take what you can. Take what you can, good men.
Yeah.
Go get ripped like Black Wolf, pumping iron for 3 months. You feeling good, are you, Black Wolf?
Well, I'm feeling really good, man. I haven't I stopped drinking for a while. I've lost at least about a good 15 pounds.
Yep.
And the funny part about it is I made my own little gym, and I couldn't afford the actual weights, so I took two I took two of those old buckets that you typically fill tools or wine with.
Yeah.
Tied it onto a bent pole, filled it up with some rainwater.
Oh,
That's just how I do the dumbbell, like do the freaking barbell now.
Yeah,
I
see?
just
There you go. I like the low-tech
sort
stuff.
of nature-based gym pretty much. So
Yeah. No, that's
just
it.
I've just been doing that because everything in my soul right now is telling me that a fight's coming my way. I don't want to believe it. I feel like I need to be in optimal 100.
Well, you're dropping out a bit. Yeah, but no, that's the
in my
message.
life.
Yeah, you're dropping out pretty bad there. But what's optimal is that you're prepared and ready, fit, and getting what you can right now to ride the storm and enjoy life at the same time. Don't be all doom and gloom, because you're going to get out the other end, but make sure you get a little bit of a soft landing. You can't plan for very long on the other side, but just enough of a soft landing to continue on, and things will come back to some sort of normalcy. We'll see what systems remain that are still massively, dysfunctional, and but it's going to be a mess. It's a mess right now. You don't know who to support other than other MGTOW men, and
Yep.
because we're not going to
I agree, man.
allow any men to be throwing men under the bus. I don't like that. I don't like the men who were thrown under the bus. I don't want to throw those Brooklyn police under the bus. Why are they doing stuff they shouldn't be doing? What's making them do that? And the man who was yelling at him, well, maybe he had a good reason to yell at him. Maybe it's good to yell at him. Wake up, police. Stop doing it. Stop doing the victimless crime shit. You're destroying the community. And do-gooders, stop trying to help black people. For God's sakes, they don't need it. They need you to buzz off. That's the trouble. You try to help people too much. This is a woman's thing, right? This is a feminine thing. Oh, we got to help them. No, leave them fucking alone. They'll find their way out of the woods sooner or later, They're not fucking children. They'll get out. Maybe it'll take a generation or two, but they'll get out. So
That's definitely what I'm starting to see. The world's going to have a hard reset, and whatever comes from it, whether it be hell on earth or something better than before. That's entirely up to them, and hell, maybe even the younger generation. I'm just that guy that's sitting on his metaphorical and possibly literal mountain. If I can get the hell out of here, just keeping on, just keeping what I have and just staying the hell away from people, because it's just bad. It's gotten so bad that I had a wake-up call last week, and I'm not leaving like YouTube or anything or Discord or anything. It's just I had to take a freaking break because it was a lot to absorb.
Oh yeah, I know it happens.
It's crazy.
Referring to the time in the bottle comment that BLM was formed by feminists, apparently yes, and they were Marxists apparently, and so and there were women apparently. So what we see here is something I can't get behind. I don't get behind Black Lives Matter. I get behind Black Men Matter, and that's where I stand. Black men matter. All men matter. And what I'm seeing here is that someone's trying to, hijack into the whole situation of, black men are the prize, right? All men are the prize. Black men are the prize, and these women are trying to try to get the men back on the plantation by linking up a common cause. Oh, black men and women are in the same cause. Come back to us, and do whatever we say you should do. But that's not doing anything for the black men at all. And black men have got to realize they're under attack by the government and do something about it. And the worst thing to do now is to allow the government to hey, stop blowing on your mic.
That was one of the biggest issues.
Yeah, okay.
It might be. I think it might be damaged or not. I'm not sure. But I was gonna say that was one of the things that messed up the black community. I mean, that feminism was at ground zero over there, and as soon as women started doing all this empowered crap, it's pretty funny to me, because the feminists and the modern women are the ones that practically fused. You never notice, for example, as fucked up as this is to say, when people talk about white men, they're talking about white men. When people talk about white women, they're talking about white women. But thanks to the fucking feminists, black men and black women are just the act that just black people in general use fucking synonymously with each other, like it's an androgynous fucking term.
Yeah, androgynous fucking mass. Well, no, it's not. black men are the prize, and they were beaten down. Their sense of self and life was suddenly ripped from them with one fucking signature by a bunch of do-gooders in the 1960s. And we see what happened. There was a tailspin, a lack of focus, a lack of direction. And yeah, okay. And then the police took advantage of that and started beating up on people for nothing. So, yeah.
It leads to nothing but, chaos and discord. And this is what the government wants. They pretty much use women as a bullet against all men.
Yep.
And many women are too stupid to realize that they're being used as a weapon, like a damn morning star, to hit us. And the moment we as men collectively lose, and I say this to every man listening to this, the moment we lose, they lose. And they're going to lose a lot bigger than us. They're going to lose epically.
And I'm going to change that a bit. I'm going to change that a bit. The minute that men recognize that they lose, they win. And I think recognizing that you've lost, that means you win. So,
Yep. I mean, we'll win in the end. We always win. I mean, it's to the point where even if women took over 90% of the planet or made up 90% of the populace, the remaining 10% of men will still be running that.
Yep.
There's just no way. Well, we always win, no matter what.
Yep.
We've done it before, and we'll do it again. We can never be defeated. So with every loss we take, it's another victory. And every loss they take, it's another loss.
Yeah.
Added to that. So they'll lose big.
I think evolution is selecting them out. The numbers confirm this. And they're just making themselves so undesirable. Nobody wants to have, little girl babies, which, ultimately in the big picture is a shame. But, life goes on. And the future is not a future of shrieking women. It's just not. So Candace Owens now has an issue. Go see the video by Eggy Nuggy. My God, it's a classic one. My God, she did bad things. Really, she was throwing men under the bus. She threw George Floyd under the bus, and he didn't deserve to be thrown under the bus.
I remember that video she made. So many people cussed her out. She really deflected, and she was going on the man's history, and that's not even what it was about. She was just going after everything she could.
Yeah, so she was trying to be an apologist for the police, and that's not it. And she got his history wrong. She didn't understand the man from his life. He was, he was on a scholarship for basketball or football or something. Basketball, I guess he's tall, in a couple of schools, and he was either in it or finished it, and he got nabbed for passing a gram of cocaine to some guy, and they put him in prison for 6 months. So there we go. There's the victimless crime, putting a guy in jail. He comes out, he can't get a job or anything, so he goes to break into houses, right? Because he learned it in prison. So they get him on that, and they put him in for longer. Then he comes out, he's definitely in the underclass now, right? He's fully in the underclass. He's fodder for the prison industrial complex. So they arrest him a few more times and let him out, blah, blah. And finally, he breaks into someone's house and says, "Where's the drugs? Where's the money?" So obviously some sort of drug transaction gone bad, and he gets arrested and sent up for a long time for that. Gets out and finally realizes, holy shit, my life is being wasted. And he tries to stay clean, and then they think that he's that much of an idiot that he's going to pass counterfeit notes in a store that they know him in, and then walk out to his car and sit there and wait for the police to show up. What? Nobody does that. So this is, this is just unbelievable. The whole story makes no sense in some way. Nobody's that stupid.
The guy was getting his life on track, and then all that happened. It was everything that went down, pandemic, and then this. It's too much of a coincidence, and I think they're trying to usher in some kind of martial law or something. I foresee the future getting bad. If they don't get this virus under control, people are going to start fighting.
Well, I don't think they can get the virus under control because there's nothing to get under control. And, maybe I'll bring it up today, right now, and I can do it. But, I've been thinking about this subject for some time, and the COVID-19 thing is supposedly coming from the SARS-2 virus, but they haven't found a cause and effect between it. So you can't really say that there's a cause and effect because modern science has not done the only way it knows how, which is Cox's postulates. So we look at this graph up here. If you want to take a look at the graph, we see deaths from COVID-19 versus deaths in 1918 from the Spanish flu. So in dark blue, you've got the Spanish flu, and what we see is what we would expect to see. We see on the left-hand side, under 1, we see a lot of deaths because the immune system's not functioning great. And then on the right, we see, you've got pre-existing conditions, and maybe your immune system's going down, so we got high deaths there. That's what you would expect. And then slight rising up to the death, and then sort of up and down in the various years.
Man.
So this is what you would expect to see in a pandemic. But you look at the COVID-19 deaths in the light blue, and it's nothing like that at all. It's like, it's not like that. It should be similar in some way to, the other pandemic we got data for, which is the Spanish flu, and we don't get this at all. And so, there's other illnesses that afflict people in large numbers. And, I'll bring one of these up and we can take a look at it. And, let's do one that's a respiratory problem. This is deaths from pneumonia by age. And this one's for the world. But what we do see is that there are, luckily a decreasing number in total, but we got some under 5s getting it, 5 to 14-year-olds or less, because their immune systems are stronger and less, and then it gets more as you get older, till over 70s, okay. Again, you've got pre-existing conditions, and this is what we would expect to see for the COVID-19. This is death from pneumonia. But we don't see this at all. We don't see this. Why in the hell not? So, this is not good. What are they trying to do to us? And so, we're looking at, a number of different, graphs. Let's look at another one here. And this is death by tuberculosis. And again, we see it skewed to the older ages. 5 to 14 is the smallest age range here. But, we get some in there. But generally, these people are pretty healthy and they can fight it off better. Their immune system's stronger. No pre-existing conditions. But under 5s are getting some of it, 5 to 14. And as you get older, it gets more. So this is what we expect to see. But again, we don't see that here. And this is troubling. We don't see it here. And, there's a lot of illnesses that affect, people. And here's another one caused by a microorganism. So again, death from diarrheal diseases. So these are, amoebas or worms or bacterias or maybe viruses that cause diarrhea that kills people. So it's a whole bunch of these things. But again, we see it spread out. Some under 5s, 5 to 14, and so on and so on. It gets more as you get older. Okay. But we don't see that here. There's something wrong. This is impossible. I look at this graph and I see that that's impossible. It's impossible that the under 1s don't die from this. If the under 1s don't die, then nobody dies. Right? That's what it is. And so these people are dying of something, I don't know what it is, but it's not a microorganism caused illness. So anyway, this is the hoax that we're in. I don't know what they're doing. It's a distraction. It's a fear pandemic. But yeah, they're cooking the books. They're stealing money like crazy. You know, that apparently is $3 trillion in debt over the last 3 or 4 months or something. And you know, this is not sustainable at all for America and other countries. And so, and you know, this is in addition to not doing Cox's postulates, which is the only way modern medical science has determined a cause and effect between a microorganism and a set of symptoms or an illness for 130 years. They haven't done it. The numbers are funny. The list of symptoms is 16. We now have 16 symptoms. You know, what is that? That's more than any other microorganism caused illness by double. It's like if you removed it, then the numbers look normal. I mean, they look normal. I think I can put one up here. You know, and it's somehow appropriate. It's somehow appropriate that this is death from dementia-related illnesses, and this is what that graph looks like. This is what that graph looks like. You know, that one there and this one here, you know, you got to flip it up, but that's what it looks like. The only people getting killed are the old people. So that means no one's getting killed from the microorganism SARS-2 virus. In this one, people are getting killed because they have dementia, which is a brain destructive disease that's not related to a microorganism normally. So this is just, you get old, you get crazy. Well, I'm not crazy yet. Here are the numbers. You know, and again, you can make up your own mind. I think this is clown world right here. And they're scaring the shit out of these old people because it's clown world. But I look at this graph right here, the comparison, and I just say, that's impossible. Therefore, there's no deaths from COVID-19 because that's impossible. A virus cannot tell the age of the person of the cell that it attacks. It's going to kill, in some numbers, every human. And we saw the graphs from tuberculosis, from pneumonia, from diarrhea, illnesses, and it all looks like the Spanish flu, give or take a bit, right? But this one's like completely different. Can you see what's different?
Auto shutdown initiated.
Yeah, and never get the voice talking to us. Anyway, that's my recent view of this comparison graph between the Spanish flu and COVID-19 just came out. It's a great one, and it just shows you it's impossible. There's no other illness. If anyone can find an illness that looks like that, please do find it and tell me. You know, I did tuberculosis, I did pneumonia, I did diarrhea. They were the only ones I could find. But if anyone can find a graph of a microorganism caused illness, a virus, a bacteria, a worm, an amoeba, a yeast or something that causes that type of death per age pattern, I'd like to see it. You know, if you got access to a doctor, take that image and say, doctor, what illness has that sort of death rate? Give me one, just one, so that I know this is not a unique thing. Well, it is unique. This is like one-off because it's a lie. It's a hoax. They're trying to scare people. And they'll do anything they can to scare people. They're not lying. They're just twisting the truth because the agenda is for maximum destabilization. I think people are trying to do this to screw the economy to bring Trump down. Yeah, that's it, MGTOW Smurf. Ruin the economy, blame Trump. Right there. And, oh yeah, definitely people are leveraging this. As I say, I don't think this was planned out at the beginning, but they see it unfolding. Oh yeah, we can do this. We can seize Hong Kong and stop the protests. Or first we stop the protests, and hey, now look, we can seize it. But as I say, Donald Trump declared a national emergency, and is putting the squeeze on any transactions with Hong Kong now. They lost preferential treatment, and this is going to hurt big time. And so, yeah, I don't know. They might try to do that, but if they do that, the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, Taiwan are all going to be upset. So, you know, is China going to try to destabilize the whole region? I don't think they want to do that. So, anyway, things are definitely heating up, and you know, we have demoralization on all fronts, except the front of MGTOW, because with the recent disaster of Will Smith, we know that that the gateway into disposability is clear and fixed, and that MGTOW has been right with all of its analysis, and that the disposability of men in war is as real as anything. And maybe this will stop somehow. Maybe technology will do it, but there's going to be disposability of men somehow, some way. Don't you worry. So get prepared, and remember to you know, don't sacrifice yourself for no value. Yeah. Yep. Put soy in everything. Give drugs to everything. And being it's worldwide, the rest of the world doesn't matter beyond the pale. I'm sorry. The only thing that matters, and you know, I got an image coming up on one of my screens, but the only thing that matters is the larger empire, of which the Western Empire is now sort of the leader. But this larger empire starts 6,000 years ago, apparently, and it comprises you know, ancient Persia, ancient Mesopotamia, up from ancient Egypt, through Anatolia, into Europe, and now into the colonies. This is the only thing that matters. That area and those areas under sway of that area. Everything you see around you, in any room in the world, including China, including India, including sub-Saharan Africa, in any room anywhere, the things of value came from that civilization. And so this is the only thing that matters. So worldwide, who cares? It's that civilization. And you notice in that civilization that you know, Syria was recently attacked, Iraq was attacked, Afghanistan, which was part of Greater Persia, was attacked. Persia is being threatened continually, and that otherwise Europe is in crisis through manufactured destabilization. America is in crisis through manufactured destabilization, and thus Central and South America are soon to follow. So what we're seeing is an attack upon this civilization. Who's attacking it? Well, first of all, this civilization itself. And the rest of it, it's apparently not important. But we'll have to see whether they come up with something that's important, and we'll have to rewrite all of history. But currently, nothing you see in any room around you of any value has its inventive inception in any place other than this greater civilization. And so, other places are going to take advantage of it for their own uses. The Chinese taking advantage to seize seize Hong Kong, threaten Taiwan, threaten to seize the South China Seas. And other countries, Korea use it to get rid of a troublesome religious sect. Iran used it to, I think, get rid of dissidents, so on and so on. And other countries are using it to, put pressure on governments or just to virtue signal because they want to feel alive and part of something. So let me wear the mask and virtue signal. Let me not look at that graph, which is absolutely impossible. And, yeah, that's absolutely impossible. That, I've seen that before. And, without even the pandemic, I saw it and I said that's impossible. With the Spanish pandemic, yes, you see it clearly. With all the other graphs, you see it clearly. They're messing with us. And for that, the best thing to do is go MGTOW monk. Stay clean. Stay ready. Stay prepared. And with this, I think we're going to end this stream now. It was great to have PJP come in first and Black Wolf come in. And we haven't heard from Black Wolf in a long time. Where in the hell you been? He's left the stream. I think I put his server on mute for too long because he was... we're getting noise from his microphone, and that was distracting me a bit today. Anyway, it was good to have Black Wolf come back in. I'll drop him a note, and he'll come back in again. He was doing good stuff over the spring, and that's what I think everyone's got to do. Get himself worked up, get himself back in tip-top condition, be ready for anything. And with that, I think we're going to leave with get ready for anything. My God, get ready for anything. And with that, MGTOW aplenty.